All right, what's up, guys? Let's get into it. We got another Thursday night live stream here on the channel. And sorry that I've been so hit or miss recently. I actually ended up getting COVID. Last live stream I did was not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before. Next day I woke up totally decimated. So took a little while off. That's why you haven't heard anything from me. Now we're back at it, regular time, 8 p.m. Eastern Thursday night. Got a great live stream this evening. A lot of cool bottles to taste. Because of the time off, I've been accumulating a lot of things, which means a lot more to taste on live streams. Very excited about that. So tonight we have some great pours. No blind flight this evening. Had to change plans. I had this idea of doing a blind tonight. I've got a few of those still left to get through. Not going to do that, but we are going to get into some great bottles, not the least of which is Discovery 11 from Bardstown Bourbon Company. Going to give one of those away as well. So if you see the ticker at the bottom here, as usual, every $5 super chat tonight. I will go through this again and again throughout the night, but every $5 super chat is going to be one entry into the randomizer giveaway at the end of the stream. I'll track super chats this evening. And of course, if you want to super chat directly to me, if you are okay with foregoing your recognition on screen, I will read out those super chats, Venmo or PayPal. That information is in the description of this video. If you want to go direct to me, avoid that 30% cut that YouTube takes, although I'm happy, obviously, just for any support in any capacity on the channel. So that's it. I wanted to get those particulars out of the way first before I dive in, because I'm sure tonight we're going to go all over the place. I'm going to forget things. But again, we got Discovery 11 to taste this evening. I've got a bunch of stuff I'm going to show you here in just a second, but I want to see who's hanging out. Hit that like button on your way in. Yeah, it's going to be a good night. I'm really excited. I still have a little something. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. Like, over the last couple of days, I've been really wishy-washy, feeling good, feeling bad. Like, I'm fully out of the woods with, like, being, acutely sick. But for some reason, there's, like, some stuff lingering on right now. So it is what it is. But I can smell and taste just fine, which is nice. So that's hopefully going to be the saving grace tonight. If I start to lose it tonight, I'll tell you, So anyways, let's get into this right now. First pour of the night. You can see I already have some things poured out. I was doing some comparisons earlier with a new bottle, this old Overholt. We might talk about this tonight, but I really want to save this for the next stream. We'll see. But I was doing some comparisons earlier in the evening. What I am going to start with, though, is what I normally kick off streams with. Thanks to, who sent this? William Molnar. I've got an Eagle Rare store pick. Love to start with these things. And this one is from the Rural Inn in Indianapolis. And they're known for doing great picks. I actually killed off a sample of a different Eagle Rare store pick that William sent, I don't know, a month ago, 2 months ago. That was also a great one, so I'm excited to check out this one. So cheers, guys. Let me know what you're sipping on this evening. I'll get to the chat now. Hit that like button. Let's get this thing going. Nice. Very good. All right. We got Jimmy Copeland in here. What's up, man? I see Toshi. Paul says, evening cam and drummers and drammers. It's Thursday night. Thank goodness for a live stream. Yeah, thank goodness. Thank you guys all again for being here this evening. I know it's been up and down, a lot of late streams, a lot of moving them to Saturdays because of gigs. It's December. We call it Gigmas, not Christmas, For musicians, December is always a big month. Cheers all. Looks like there's some good pours lined up. Yes, absolutely, Jeff. We'll talk about a few of those and how I came to acquire them today, actually. George T. Stagg today, because of the generosity of somebody we'll talk about in a second. Jay, of course we're starting on time. Of course. What's up, Roy R? I see Copperwolf, Jeff Smith, Zach Butler. Good to see all you guys. Gerald Hopkins, Everett Jarvis. There's the man of the hour, William Molnar. Cheers, man. I burned my tongue yesterday on some hot coffee. I still got a little fuzzy tongue at the end. So take what I say tonight with like 20% extra grain of salt. I know you always should take what I say with a grain of salt, but tonight particularly, I've got a little lessened sensitivity on the tip of my tongue. Well, okay. Probably shouldn't have said that out loud. What's up, Bourbon Drop? I'm going to keep scrolling here. Guy, oh man, COVID sucks so bad. Glad you're back in. Yeah, third time for me, unfortunately. Amy, good to see you. Dustin, I am upright. Yes, Mike, so thank you for bringing this up. So we've been really trying to schedule this Matt Madness Champions match. I think the original was like in August or something. We had to reschedule back then. There's some personal issues going on for somebody in the crew. And we had settled on tomorrow night actually being the rescheduled date. David, maybe I shouldn't share this, but I already said his name, ended up getting sick, actually. So he couldn't finish up his end of the stuff. He was going to make some new timers and everything for it. We've basically settled on January 12th as the rescheduled date. Everybody has approved it. Everybody says it works in our calendars. So we're all looking at January 12th. And I'm actually shocked that I'm able to do that. It's a Friday. But yeah, I only have an afternoon rehearsal. It's like the one Friday in the entire month of January I can do. So I'm hoping that we get that over the finish line finally. So tomorrow night, I'm actually going to be on Matt's channel, ADHD Whiskey. We're just going to be hanging out. We've sent each other some pours. I'll show you guys some of the stuff that Matt sent my way, which is incredibly generous. And we're just going to hang out on his channel. That's the plan for tomorrow night. Oh, there he is, Matt, January 12th. There we go. Daniel says, cheers, snacking on leftover steak. Oh, nice. Sonoma Cab along with it. No whiskey yet. You don't need whiskey with that lineup. Zach, I love it, man. If you guys didn't hear, Matt Porter is ADHD Whiskey is the new chief tasting officer over at Barrel King now. So we're going to be helping out with blends, I think, and doing and curating all sorts of stuff over there. So, you know, everybody should congratulate Matt on this great news. You know, he's got that he's got the CTO title, Chief Tasting Officer. So Matt's a chief now. He's got the C next to his name. That means big bucks. That means tomorrow night's the last time I'll probably be on Matt's channel. You know, that's probably what that means. No, it's great news, guys. It's great news. Okay, I'm going to keep scrolling. William Molnar. So, yeah, what I was going to say, actually, about this Eagle Rare pick is that it tastes more like a Mash Bill 2 product. It has more of a kick to it, more cinnamon. So when you say it's a little spicier, that's kind of funny that you're saying that. No, to me, it tastes actually more Blanton's-y in some ways, to me. And again, I got this burnt tongue going on here, but Zach Butler, thanks, man. Yeah, guys, hit that like button. We got 67 in here now, which is awesome. Toshi, come on. I love it. I like bourbon a lot. Says, cheers, sipping Larceny C923. Finally came to my local store. What do you think of it? For me, I got a weird kind of youthful buttery note on that one, which comes off as very sweet and approachable. I think a lot of people are going to like it for that reason. But I also got a kind of a tobacco note and some other things that just felt like disjunct, like it didn't totally work together for me. So what do you think of it? I think a lot of people are going to like it. I think a lot of people also going to find it maybe to be a little more young. James Lay says Kira has COVID now. Jeez, we're dropping like flies, guys. It's because all of our immune systems are shot from all the whiskey that we drink, and I'm only 20% kidding about that. Will says, I wonder if it was a Mash Bill 2. Okay, yeah. I've heard stories about that, but this one really, really smells like Mash Bill 2. I mean, this doesn't even smell like Eagle Rare to me, if I'm being honest. And if there's any place that would get a Mash Bill 2 special kind of pick, I have a feeling it would be the Rural Inn to get something like that. But yeah, man, thanks for sending this. Really cool opportunity to try it. I still am going to stand by this, guys. If you can find Eagle Rare 10-year store picks at cost or even up to $50, I think they're some of the best values on the market for a low proof, you know, decently aged, sweet profile, dark profile. I just think it's kind of hard to beat it. Yeah. Zach, I don't really know, man. I haven't had a lot of great straight from the barrels. Unfortunately, I've only had a couple different samples. I owned one myself. I think I still have it back there. Just mine is not great. So I got to go Stagg Junior on that, but that's really based on the sporadic nature of single barrels with Blanton's. Okay, guys, let's get into some pours here. My palate is ready to go, at least as ready as it can be. So like I said, guys, tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, I'm gonna be on ADHD Whiskey's channel. So I sent him some pours for that. I think I sent him 3 blind pours and 2 unblind pours. And of course, he was extra generous, and he sent me a ton of stuff. So in the box, like when an 8-pound box showed up on my porch, that's like, 16 by 10 by 10, I was like, that's not 5 samples. So he did send 6 samples my way, all of which are blind. But then the gifts started giving. So he sent me the remainder of his sample, his media sample of Rare Hair Lucky Bastard, 30-year Canadian, finished in Pinot de Charente cask. So I've got this half sample. I could actually possibly get into this tonight if you guys are interested. Let me know in the chat. He also sent one of the pours that we're going to be getting into tonight, which is incredible, which he did not need to do, Matt. This media sample of George T. Stagg 2023. So this is the only reason that I'm able to taste this tonight, is because of Matt Porter. So thank you, Matt. He gave me a bunch of crap for not sending an email to their PR people to ask for this, and he took it upon himself to send it. So thanks, Matt. So we're going to get into that tonight. Is there information in here? No. Okay. What else? The other thing in the box, something that Matt told me about a long time ago. I wasn't sure if he was, if he still had these or not. This Old Forester, dusty in plastic, actually. 86 proof Old Forester. So we'll taste this evening. And I brought up my normal 86 proof for the comparison. I don't know how many years old this is, to be honest with you. It says A17 on the front, but I feel like this is from before 2017. A little bit of something floating around in there, but that's okay. That just means it's the good stuff. So yeah, I don't know how old those are. So yeah, Matt absolutely killed it. Old Forester bottle, George T. Stagg media sample, Rare Hair media sample, 6 2-ounce blind pours for tomorrow night. Thank you, Matt. Just insane. So on that note, why not dive into this? Why not dive into this Old Forester a little bit? Let's do a quick comparison. I'll do a quick review, I guess, of Old Forester 86 from several years ago. And I'll taste it next to this current day Old Forester 86. So on your right side will be the Dusty. Get this table organized here. Oh, yeah, and we will also taste this new Still Austin Blue Corn Bottled and Bond. They just sent this my way. We'll get into that this evening as well. All right, so let's get this poured out. Jason Harris, talking about the Stagg Junior versus Blanton Straight from the Barrel comparison, says, I'd go Stagg Junior over Straight from the Barrel. Straight from the Barrel just comes off hotter. Yeah, I also have that experience with many of the Blanton Straight from the Barrels that I've tried. They've just come off hot, sharp, Zach, Kelvin 60 is a buy at SRP if and only if $200 is not out of the realm of what you spend on a bottle, even a good bottle. But as long as that's not out of the realm of what you spend, and as long as you like toasted barrel products. My Kelvin 60, I thought over time would get kind of less char, less smoky, less woody. Actually got more woody in the bottle, which I thought was strange. I liked it, but you're talking about, I think it's either 8 or 9 year Four Roses double barreled in a second Kelvin barrel. For me, I liked it at first. I just don't think if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't buy that bottle, And I've sent it out to a lot of people, sampled it out to a lot of people because a lot of people really like it, and a lot of people think that it's overrated. And I think it's actually a good data point when they have the chance to taste it to be like, okay, this is not up my alley. I'm glad I can save $200. Or the other side of that, where people are happy to pick one of those up if they like that kind of profile. So, Guy's actually drinking the sample he won. So, Guy, what do you think about it, man? It's good. I really like it. Okay. Yeah, so there you go. I think opinions are going to differ. And Guy, are you normally a fan of toasted barrel products or double-barreled products? That one's more of a toasted profile. Even though it's a double-barreled new barrel, it's not like a toasted thing or heavy char. It still comes off as a toasted product, in my opinion, with its kind of smokiness. All right, so just a real quick Old Forester 86 revisit here before we taste the dusty version of it. Okay. So right away, big candied fruit notes. That kind of bright yeastiness that I get on some younger Old Forester, younger Brown-Forman products. Kind of a whiff of like pineapple in here. Like, yes, banana. People are going to always talk banana on Brown-Forman. I kind of get a little pineapple in the Old Forester 86. Yeah, pineapple, banana, kind of cheap vanilla / yeast. Those notes are kind of working together. Almost just, like a yeasty bread dough. A hint of a pepperiness to it. I think it's 18% rye, if I'm not mistaken, in these things. That sounds right, 18%. Yeah, so it's not complicated. And then a little bit of this kind of candied cherry, candied strawberry thing going on. Palate to me, again, I know a lot of people like this. The first thing that hits me up front on the 86 is almost like a fake sweetener kind of note. So I don't know if you guys have ever gotten something like this on a whiskey. Sometimes it'll come off like aspartame sweet. Sometimes almost like a saccharin, like toothpaste kind of sweet. This one to me, this is more of like an aspartame / sucralose, that kind of sweetener note. It's a little bit like, I don't know, it's a little too sweet actually on the front of the palate. As it rolls back, it turns a little more sour, a little more fruity. I think it balances itself out. But, of course, a great standby for some folks. Second sip, I actually get a little bit of a malt note in here that reminds me of like a Glenmorangie 10. So, okay, with that kind of as the standard, as the baseline, if you guys out there have tasted this Old Forester 86, you kind of understand the profile I'm talking about. So now onto the dusty version of this. And it is completely different. It's actually remarkable how much different this is. Oh, I want that scroll down. What's going on here? There we go. Now it'll scroll. Kelvin 60 Copper Wolf says, bought 2, love it. Guy likes some toasted products. It depends. And I think, even if you're in the middle like that, I think that Kelvin 60, it is a good whiskey. Like, don't get me wrong. It is a good whiskey. Powdered sugar, Jay, that's a good call. Yeah, powdered sugar. That, it's like, you could go yeasty, you could go powdered sugar, you could go cheap vanilla. It's all kind of the same idea, I think, yeah. But the older version here, again, I don't have a year for this. If anybody knows what years this particular bottling was produced in plastic, let me know. This is, it has that dusty note to it, that antique note. But it's really like caramel, boozy, nutty. There's actually like a nuttiness to this, which I am not something that I normally get on Old Forester products. Huh. It really tastes like books smell, like old books. I mean, it's like pecan, old books, old dusty library books. It's sour, actually. It's totally different. Very cool. So what I'll do tonight actually is the winner of tonight's giveaway. Again, every $5 Discovery 11. We're gonna taste this here in just a second. Tonight's winner of the giveaway is going to get a bottle of Discovery 11. We will have a second place winner who's going to get a sample pack of some things. I will include a sample of this dusty Old Forester. And I know you know, a lot of people have a bottle of the regular Old Forester 86, but just in case that person doesn't, I'll include a 1 ounce sample of this, just so you can do the comparison, you know, probably a decade or two between these two bottlings, I would imagine. Very cool comparison, and a great opportunity to taste a Dusty that's not something like that was a crazy rare bottle back in the day that it was produced. This was on every shelf, but it still tastes like a Dusty. So this is a great opportunity to see what that, like what a Dusty note actually is on a whiskey. This comparison will reveal that, I think, easily. Matt, I think it's 2013. Really? Damn. That would be crazy if it's that recent, dude. I'll have to, yeah, wow. Zach says, that may be on a shelf around me. I'm telling you, man, I would buy every one of these because it's just crushable. You could just, I mean, you want to talk about a session whiskey that, yes, is not crazy complicated or complex, but something that's going to be way more interesting to sip, you know, a few glasses of on a casual night. It would be this. Nothing against the current bottling, but this stuff is pretty phenomenal in comparison. Matt, I mean, the old bottle effect is definitely a thing, I think. I don't know that it makes up for all of that. Yeah, it's tough, man. I would love to do like some serious Dusty research, talking to distillers, talking to, you know, people that have been in the business for a few decades. Very curious. Oh, sorry, Zach. Kooky Cat says, has anyone tried or does anybody like 15 Stars Platinum? I feel like the 15 star stuff that I saw was really overpriced or really, really expensive for what seemed to be maybe sourced Barton. I can't remember exactly. Matt says, I got a Jack Daniels from around then that has the same qualities, and a Knob Creek 2001 has it. Yeah. Well, Sugar Kitty, unfortunately, it's not cork. I mean, this is plastic with the plastic topper on it. So, you know, at that point, and it's not even a glass bottle. It's a plastic bottle. So, Matt, in that case, for me, it makes me feel like, I don't know if it would develop in the bottle. I mean, I guess that's assuming that that glass had something to do with it, this being plastic, which I still don't know how I feel about whiskey and plastic. You know, it still makes my alarm bells go off, even if that's fine, scientifically. Yeah, it's weird, though, huh? Anyways, no sense in beating a dead horse. It tastes like some sort of, like syrup that you'd put on ice cream. Like, it's really flavorful. Can't believe it. Very, very cool. All right, let's get this out of here. Let's move on now. Let's do a review. It's really a first tasting of something that Still Austin just sent my way. You guys know that they sent over the previous Bottled in Bond, which you can see I've done some serious damage on this bottle. I cannot say enough about how much I like this bottle. Not a perfect whiskey, a little pricey at $80, but we're talking craft distillery, we're talking Nancy Fraley blended, and we're talking something Bottled in Bond with all of these different Bottled in Bond releases coming out this year. 4 different. We have the red corn, the high rye, the blue corn, and then there's going to be a rye whiskey coming out. I just think it's just really cool stuff. It's kind of crazy they're putting out so many different blends in one year. And I've sampled out this high rye quite a bit, of course. Still done some good damage on it myself. I think it's very, very good whiskey. So let's check out the blue corn now. Both being Bottled in Bond, both going to be, you know, 100 proof. Nancy jumped into the chat a few weeks ago and mentioned that this one is at least 5 years old. I think maybe 5.5, something like that. For the high rye, I don't know if the blue corn is the same situation, but it's certainly 4+ years. Yeah, Andrew says BPA free. Right. Freaks me out, though, huh? Whoa. Whoa. Okay, I got to get to these Venmo super chats, guys. Holy crap. Lito, what's up, man? Good to see you, dude. Now that's the one they should have named High Rye. So yes, Lito. So they sent along sticker. I love this. Just Still Austin branding, just the name of it. I just love Still Austin. I can't get enough of it. I've been saying that since before they started sending me free stuff, so you guys can check my record on that one. I just think Still Austin is really freaking cool whiskey. But they did send along this card with it, and I was surprised to find this. It is 26% blue corn, 25% white corn. So it's not all blue corn in here, but it is majority of the corn is blue corn. So 26 blue, 25 white. That means we're 51% corn. It does have 44% rye, which is crazy, and it is a higher rye content by a lot as compared to what they're calling their high rye bourbon. And then 5% malted barley. I'm not going to look at the tasting notes on this blue corn. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Wow. So, I think I just have to pour out some of the other one. I think I just have to do the comparison. Joe, what's up, man? Joe says the Remus highest rye is only 39%. Yeah, this stuff that's crazy. 44% rye. Quite unusual. Right. So the high rye bourbon from Still Austin, the last bottled in bond. This one to me had a lot of bright, like grapefruit melon notes to it. Very fruity, very sweet, a little juicy fruit gum. It definitely has a reminiscence of MGP in here. Just of that 36% rye mash bill in particular. But I just love how fruity it is. There's not a lot of super dark notes to it. So if you're looking for something like super oaky or chocolate forward or something like that, a lot of tobacco, you're not going to find that necessarily in this. But also with the high rye mash bill like this of a 5-year whiskey, so a young-ish whiskey, even with the Texas climate, it's not coming off super dark. So don't expect that from this one. I just love the way the palate develops, the way it ramps up. The flavors get denser and denser as it rolls back. So great stuff. Now onto the blue corn. Cheers. Huh. The blue corn is actually significantly earthier on the nose. So with maybe, 20% more rye in the mash bill, it's actually not as spicy, vibrantly fruity, some of the stuff that you might expect from rye. It has actually less of that on the nose, which is interesting. To me, the word that comes to mind on this, I hate to sound snobby or whatever, terroir comes to mind on this. Like, smelling this blue corn bourbon reminds me of being outside. It reminds me of just, I don't know. It reminds me of the countryside. Like, there are a lot of outdoor things that are coming to mind as I smell this whiskey. Huh. Yeah, I don't really know how to describe this. I'm going to taste it, and I'll come back to the nose. Wow. I mean, you can really, really taste the corn in here. You can really taste it. And it's not in a way that, like, if you have a 4-year product from a legacy Kentucky distillery where you have a lot of, like, kind of, lack of a better word, shitty corn notes in there, young corn that you don't want to taste, that's one thing. This is basically the same exact thing, same age as something like that, but you're tasting a corn note in here that is distinct, but like, it adds character to the whiskey. It doesn't add youth to it. Like, there's still so many dark notes. It feels very aged on one half of the whiskey, and then the other half you can really taste this corn quality to it, which does not resemble any kind of corn note that I've gotten on like standard bourbons. So, to me, what it feels like is they threw that 26% of the mash bill being that blue corn in there, and then 25 being the white corn. I think they probably went with that ratio because the blue corn is really, really powerful. That's because I've never tasted the flavor I'm getting out of this whiskey before. I have to imagine that's the blue corn impact here. If that's the case, having more of that in there might make this whiskey too much towards that kind of a note. I mean, this is, but it's remarkable. It's very different. William Molnar, I'm going to grab the sample, the New Riff Blue Claridge. And thankfully, the New Riff is also bottled in bond at 100 proof. So this is going to be a fantastic comparison. So let's move this Still Austin out of the way. Let's check this out. Who said that? Whiskey BS talking about the Balcones Baby Blue. I haven't tried that one, but I have some friends that I know that do enjoy it. All right, let's see here. So here's the New Riff on your right. And here's the Still Austin. Yeah, they definitely have a close link on the nose. What I'm smelling more out of the Still Austin now when I do the comparison is just a little bit of that Texas funk. But if you guys have ever had a Still Austin product, you know that the Texas funk from this distillery is significantly less than anything coming out of Balcones or from Garrison Brothers. But it's still noticeable in this side-by-side. But whatever this note is that's coming from the blue corn, I don't have great words to describe it. I will take another sip and try my hand at it again. That note is present in both of these. All right, I'll taste the New Riff. Okay. The New Riff definitely comes off like I can get more of a straightforward note out of that, which is like some darker fruit type notes. I can recognize that easier, whereas the Still Austin is still kind of a bit of a mystery to me. And the Still Austin is significantly spicier because of that high rye content, which is crazy. What I find that the blue corn does to both of these whiskeys is that it feels to me like it's increasing the mouthfeel. It's making the whiskey a little bit heavier on the palate. And the cool part about the Still Austin in this case is that not only is it so heavy on the palate, also you're thinking about the Texas climate and the way that that's going to add some viscosity to the whiskey, some heft. Then you also get so much spice from the high rye, 44% rye content in there, that you're kind of getting what feels to be more like 110, 115 proof whiskey packed into 100 proof, which means that the concentration of flavor is super, super high. It makes it, it makes for a great drinking experience, I would say. I don't know how to describe this whiskey because it's just so out of the realm of what I'm used to. I'm going to look at their tasting notes. Huh. On the nose, they say cream soda. Okay, I could... Malted milk. You might be losing me with that one. Spiced plum, yes. Country apple cider, yes. So you're basically what they're talking about is like really thick, heavy, syrupy fruit notes with a kick. Spiced plum, apple cider, things that have a little bit of a zest and a kick to them. There we go. Citrus zest. They also talk about, I would agree with that from that rye content, and sweet cinnamon. So basically what you're looking at here from their nosing notes, yes, and their tasting notes as well, which the tasting notes are, they look like Nancy Fraley notes. They're so detailed. But what it seems to me that they're getting at here is a really dark whiskey with enough effervescence and spice to cut through that. That's kind of what I was trying to describe. It's like this heft, this fullness of the whiskey, very, very outdoorsy and earthy. Yeah. Let me just read you these for fun. Palate notes, they say dark chocolate-covered candied citrus, sweet carrot cake and buttercream frosting, hints of creme de menthe, Nougat and Manuka honey accentuate flavors of dense butter cookie and rich brown sugar French toast. So you pretty much have every kind of dessert note possible in there, which I don't hate, but I think at some point you start straying pretty far from, like, you just start saying so many things that it just becomes confusing, you know? Finish, dark sherry and creme brulee that trail off into whispers of eucalyptus. That's actually an interesting note. Oak spice and black tea. Eucalyptus and black tea. Okay, I could see that. They mentioned it on the finish. Yeah. The tea note for sure. Black tea for sure on this one. But again, we're talking dark, earthy, outdoorsy flavors. Very spicy. Tinge of bitterness to it. Very balanced. I don't know if this is going to be for everyone, though. Like, it's hard to recommend this for everyone. I think the high rye bourbon, I would recommend for any kind of whiskey drinker. This one, to me, I'm not going to say that you need to like craft whiskey because it doesn't taste crafty. Crafty, to me, is like really, really hay, really farmy, all that kind of stuff. This isn't that. The earthiness in here is nothing like a Kings County or a Journeyman or something along those lines, or a 291. This is very approachable, but I still think this might turn a couple of people off. So for me, it's like try before you buy, unless you know you like Still Austin products, in which case I would go for this. I heard that the red corn was not people's favorite. I didn't have the chance to try that one. Yeah, and if that's not people's favorite and you're talking about a specific corn varietal, this could suffer from the same issue for some folks. So if you didn't like the red corn, I would say try before you buy. If you like a little bit of something different, $80, I think it's a worthy investment. So I'm not going to shout from the rooftops about this one quite the same I would for the high rye, but I do still think it's an interesting product. And I think I need to revisit this one when the bottle gets more air, and I think I need to do it in a couple comparisons to really get a grasp on it. So for any of you whiskey nerds out there looking for something to kind of dive into, thinking about terroir, thinking about the influence of different corn varietals in the mash bill, then absolutely check this product out. And again, tonight we're going to not only do Discovery 11 for the winner of tonight's giveaway, but we're going to do a sample pack. I will throw both of these Still Austins in the sample pack with the Old Forester 86 Dusty and the current day Old Forester 86, just to make sure you have those for the comparison. But that's gonna do it for this Still Austin portion of the live stream. Cool stuff. Great artwork. Yeah. So we're going to get to... what are we going to get to next? Let's get to Discovery 11 next. Let's do that one. I'm going to read out some Venmo Super Chats now. Get completely caught up there. Andrew Surfling says, actually, Andrew, you know what? I think what I should do is get a bag of blue corn tortilla chips and a bag of regular tortilla chips and see what the difference is side by side, and then do that comparison with the Still Austin. Yeah, maybe that would be an interesting experiment, actually. Daniel doesn't like the baby blue, says it reminds him of New Make. Robert Hink, what's up, dude? Robert says, give me a pour of that Disco 11 before. Don't worry, dude. I got a backup. We got enough. So you guys can see I've done a little damage on this bottle already. The hype, there's been a lot of hype around Discovery 11. I wanted to taste this so badly last week, and then I got COVID, so I couldn't do that live stream. So I'm a little late on this, but I am excited to give a bottle of this away. Here we go. Here is the giveaway for this evening. So let me get a fresh glass. Let's get this thing poured out. Get it sitting, and then I'll check in on the Venmo Super Chats. And then we'll get going on this one. Okay, guys. We have a lot of these to catch up on. So, sorry for those of you listening and you're not able to see this on the screen. I do apologize. But this is incredible, and you guys are so ridiculously generous. So let's get to it. Pull it up here. Zach Butler kicked it off for us with a $15 super chat. 3 entries in here. And he threw in a little emoji and a number 11. So thank you, Zach, man. I really, really appreciate it. Next, super chat, which is insane, is Toshi Baker coming in with a $100 super chat. Toshi, dude, cheers. Thank you. Let me hit you with little dusty old Forester. Cheers, man. Especially because you sent me some 1969 President's Choice that I still have 1 ounce of, waiting to finish the rest of that sample. One of my favorite whiskeys I've ever had, 1969 President's Choice from Toshi. Only right that I say cheers with some dusty old Forester also, man. Thank you, Toshi. He says, good to see you back and healthy. Cheers, buddy. Cheers. William Molnar jumping in here with a $50 super chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me, I screwed something up here. There we go. William Molnar in for 10. Gotcha. And he says, putting 50 on Cam, needing another restroom break. If I don't take a restroom break, what do I win? Thank you, dude. Either way, I win. $50 super chat. Cheers, man. Thank you so much. Aaron, Aaron Limester. Aaron, how do you say that, man? I don't want to mispronounce your name. Lemester? Aaron L. says fuzzy tongue. Thanks, Aaron. Amy. What is up, Amy? Thank you for being here. Glad to see you back. Cheers. And cheers to you, Amy. $20 super chat in for 4 entries. Avery Piper jumping in for 1. 103 in here, guys. Thank you for being here. We're just catching up on some quick Venmo super chats. Logging these things in. Then we're going to get right to this Discovery 11 review. Avery in for 1 says, hey, Cam, thanks for the live stream. Glad I'm able to get on and watch you tonight. And I'm glad that you're able to be here as well. Thanks, man. Lance Powell is next with 4 entries. A $20 super chat. Thanks, sir. He says, giveaway. We got 2 more here in Venmo, I think. Okay, well, a few more people are jumping in. You guys are insane. I'm never going to catch up. It smells good. Let me just say that. Okay. Who's next? Andrew Surfling. I'm going fast, guys. I'm going, but I want to give you your due. Andrew's in for 8 entries, $40 super chat. Says, first discovery, we will see. Yes, sir, we will. Ben Chrisman. Thank you, Andrew. Ben Crispin in for 1 says, cheers, super chat. Oh my gosh, guys. Marshall jumping in for 3, $15 super chat. Says, glad you're feeling better. Cheers, man. See you later, Zach Butler. Hope you can jump back in here. I don't know how long we're going to go tonight. I think no more than 2 hours. But I think even then, we might be done before that. All right, thank you, Marshall. Oh my gosh, guys, you are killing it tonight. James Lay in for 5. Thank you, James. $25 super chat. I'm going to get emotional. You guys are ridiculous. You guys are ridiculous. Lito Cortez. I'm going to start drinking the Discovery already. Cheers, man. Thank you. Lito's in for 10. Wow. Okay. Jeff Perkins, in for 2. Thank you, Jeff, man. It says Thursday giveaway. Cheers to that. And Daniel P. is the last Venmo super chat that I have for now until I refresh. He's in for 25, 5 entries. Thank you, Daniel. Glad you're back. Cheers, dude. Cheers to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, guys. Let me grab these 3 in the chat, and then we'll get on to this review. Joe says no more than 2 hours are famous. Yeah, famous last words for sure. You know how that goes. Especially when there's no blind, things sometimes will go very long. The blinds by the end, I start feeling it in those when that's the last thing to happen on the stream, and I've usually got to sign off because I'm feeling it. When there's no blind, it's a freaking free-for-all. At least that's just my experience. Jimmy Copeland, what's up, man? Thank you for getting in here. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks for the support, man. Appreciate it. In for 4. I got you, Jimmy. I like bourbon a lot. In for 10, says Disco Baby. Okay. In for 2 entries. And finally, Oh, look who it is getting in for one, Mr. JG. Mr. Baldhead himself. I'm not talking bad about bald folks. I might be there one day too, but you know, Jay, just got to do what I can to get back at you, man. Not that, I mean, I got to find some other way to insult you. God, you got a nice beard, though. So what do I do? What do I say? Mitchell Lamb, in for 2. Thank you, man. So, okay. Cheers, and thank you, guys. All right. Holy crap. Kooky Cat says K-Luke Batch 6 versus Disco 11. We can maybe do that, but I don't know that that's such an apt comparison. We will see. So I did see it up here, though. Mike asked, do you have a Disco 4 to compare it to? Yes. Unfortunately, I don't have very much of this left. Actually, a little more than I thought, which is a good thing. You make sure this is 4. So, and I understand the reasoning here. You know, both of these are Kentucky-only blends. Discovery 4... Discovery 4 has a lot of the same mash bill. Well, actually, it doesn't really have a lot of the same stuff in here. But it is an all-Kentucky blend. Very close in proof. And it was obviously highly regarded when it came out. So this will be a fun comparison. But before we get to that, we're just going to take a look at Discovery 11 by itself. Benjamin Prescott. And people say disco is dead. Thanks, man. Yeah, definitely not going to be dead tonight. We're going to get into this. And I'm really looking forward to it. I got rid of my backup of Discovery 4, and I'm super bummed about it. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know what caused me to do that. I have a backup of 3, and I think that's the only Discovery. And I have one backup of Chateau de la Bode and one backup of Apple Brandy. But I don't know why I got rid of my 4. Yeah, there's a lot of comparisons you can make to this. So I want to taste this first before we get into comparison land. I think tonight we will have several comparisons to this Discovery 11 to kind of suss it out and see what's going on. And try to give you guys, especially those of you who don't have a bottle of this yet, maybe, the opportunity to try to relate to the profile, at least as far as I'm picking up on it tonight. So let's see just kind of where this goes. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and Turkey 12-year, of course, that's an apt comparison. You guys know that basically 75% of this blend is 13-year Wild Turkey. You know, it's the same mash bill as Jim Beam, 75, 13, 12. Some of the stuff from Jim Beam, and I never knew over the years if it was Turkey or if it was Beam. It sounds like the consensus now is that anytime you've seen this mash bill in a Discovery, that it's actually Wild Turkey. So imagine that. In this case, it's 13 years old. A lot of people would say that Russell's 13 would be a good comparison to that. I don't think so, because Russell's 13 has so much 19-year stuff and 20-year stuff. I have a breakdown of at least the first 3 batches from Ryan Alves at Justin's House of Bourbon that he posted online. You know, it's not a 13-year product. And in this case, we know that the stuff being used in here is 13 years old. So I actually think Wild Turkey 12-year, 101 proof is probably a better comparison. Or some blend of that, rare breed, non-chill filtered, and maybe a little Russell's 13 to add some age to the mix. But, you know, Discovery 2, I think Derek is mentioning here, because it has some of that turkey in the mash bill in the blend. We'll see where we go with this. Yeah, Joe says it is 100% Wild Turkey. Brian jumping in here. Brian with the... Okay, Brian, look. You got to tell me, Brian. So, Brian, I heard a story that the Sealbox Private Reserve 9-year single barrel is actually Heaven Hill, even though it's got that 75-15-10 mash bill. So, I don't know if you can neither confirm... I don't know if you can confirm nor deny that. But maybe you can put up a sarcastic comment like this to lead me in the right direction about your Private Reserve single barrel. I'm just saying. I am curious. All right, let's get into this. Discovery 11. 118.1 proof. That's what I thought, Brian. Wow, guys, is Turkey like selling a lot of barrels? I mean, this is interesting. See, I always thought Turkey kept a lot of their stuff under lock and key. There we go, Brian. That's the comment I needed. That's the comment I needed. It's so we got a Heaven Hill single barrel with a random ass mash bill. That's what I wanted to hear. But there isn't any proof it's Heaven Hill. There we go. Okay. So when I did have COVID, guys, last week, whenever I have COVID, I come in here and I always smell bottles because I know exactly what certain whiskeys should smell like. And, you know, Shanks is one that usually I'm able to smell first as my sense of smell is coming back from the congestion and everything. Shanks, Evan Williams 23, stuff with big weird oak notes or sweet oak or stuff like that. I kept smelling this Discovery 11 and I could not stop smelling just straight up cherries. I mean, like the strongest cherry note. As my sense of smell continued to come back, the profile rounded out into some more peanuts and some other things. But I'm going into this review right now with the understanding of how strongly I smelled cherries on this whiskey. And it wasn't just like a whiff of cherry or a suggestion. It smelled like cherries. So that's my starting point for this as we approach it. Okay, first thing I get on the nose of this, I want to give like broad strokes. It smells dense for a 118 proof bourbon. It doesn't smell like Instagram just opened itself on my phone. That was weird. It was really weird. It smells dense for a 118 proof, but it doesn't smell like it doesn't. When I heard people talk about Discovery 11 and how amazing it was, I thought I was going to like immediately smell it and go, "Oh my God, I've never smelled anything this good. It's so incredible." It's not at that level. So I want to like temper expectations that this is not otherworldly. It's not going to be like, "Oh my God, it's the best whiskey I've ever smelled." It does smell very good. Very concentrated. First things I'm getting, boozy caramel sauce, reminiscent of like a really nice Heaven Hill single barrel. If you've ever had something of theirs that goes straight down the middle caramel, maybe you kind of know what I'm talking about. Some Elijah Craig barrel proof private barrels have had this. Just an outstanding caramel forward single barrel from Heaven Hill. I get that note up front. There's a lot of cherry on here. Sour and sweet cherry. I could probably dig down on that a little bit more. Almost reminds me of the cherry notes that I get on the Traverse City cherry finished thing that they do. I've got one of those over here somewhere. It's very, very cherry. There is a pie crust note to this. So everything I've said so far is pretty classic bourbon notes. Nothing out of the ordinary. It's slightly overbalanced on the cherry fruit note and very, very cinnamon forward. And I have to say that if we are talking Wild Turkey 13 year being 75% of the blend, a lot of that makes sense. But there is 10-year product in here that I think, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is Willet, right? 78-13-9. Someone please correct me on that if I'm wrong. I think that's a Willet mash bill. And if that's the case, it would make a lot of sense that this has so much cinnamon on the nose. And it has a little bit of a brighter cinnamon quality to it because a lot of those Willets are super cinnamon forward. Very good. I mean, very, very good. To me, is this $160 bourbon on the nose? I'm not sure, actually. I think things are so wacky in the market now with pricing and with expectations that we have of certain aged products or certain price points or whatever, that if I just smelled this, my brain doesn't go to $160 release that people are freaking out about. I have to be honest. It smells very, very good, very balanced in a lot of ways, overbalanced in a couple of ways that are, again, when you're talking cherry, you're not talking about overbalancing in a bad way. You're just talking about overbalancing on a note that a lot of people really like. So it is what it is. Brian says it's not Willet. Okay, interesting then. Interesting. I don't know what that is. 7813.9. But let's go to the palate. The palate could change things here. So the last one was a contract distillate that was never picked up. Okay. Huh. First sip of this. Very good. Very, very, very good. And I think, oh man. Okay. It actually just keeps getting better. Yeah. Shit. Okay. I think maybe the reason why people love this so much is the finish. Well, I think after you take a sip of this, the beginning to me is still kind of iffy, just like the nose, where I'm like, it's good, but it's not special. Once you get into the middle of the development on the palate, as it starts to go back into the finish, that's when it's like, oh, okay. Flavor concentration ramps up hugely. It starts to taste like raspberry preserves, extremely fruity. You get away, I think, in my mind, from the cherry notes, from being so obviously cherry. The fruit note kind of darkens up a little bit, becomes more complex, becomes a little bit more jammy. And as you get into the finish, all of those turkey notes that you guys love from aged turkey products, especially Russell's 13, turkey rare breed, rare breed nacho filtered travel, turkey 12101, it gets into like this turkey funk leather note on the finish. That's where this thing is special for me. So I think nose to front of palate to mid palate to finish, it only gets better. And that is a very good trajectory for a whiskey. Whereas if I really love the nose of a whiskey and then the finish is really short and it just gets worse as it goes, that's not as good of a base experience of a whiskey as opposed to it just ramping up the whole time like this one is. So it's kind of cool that this, for me on the nose, again, it's not super special. Palate and finish are. And then after the first sip of this, you come back to it, things become a little more clear on the nose. Yeah. Actually a little more sour. A little more of a sour characteristic from the nose now, from that cherry note. Yeah. Good. Now, mid-palate. Once it hits the middle of your tongue and goes back, and you start to like salivate, humongous caramel note down the middle. The fruity raspberry preserve thing accompanies it. Rolls back the whole time. Great spice, great cinnamon pie crust kind of notes. Yeah, damn. Okay. Is it my favorite thing I've tasted this year? Probably not, but it's very, very high on the list in terms of like, yeah, it's high on the list. It's high on the list. The jury's still out for me. I think I like this better than I like C923 from Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. I would say so. Interesting. Okay. Brian says it beats Russell's 13 for me, even if it wasn't turkey. Yeah, Brian, I'd have to. So we might get into some comparisons here. Maybe that'll pop up. I have all the batches right now except for batch 5. I've heard batch 5 is not very good. Brian, what do you know about that? If you've tried it. But I have a sample of batch 4, and then I have bottles of 1 through 3 behind me. And then TJ is also talking about rumors that someone asked for this contract distilled mash bill to compete with turkey. But but it's a unique mash bill that would have been for that NDP, and they didn't follow through to buy it after aging. Okay. Brian says, I think the 13 gets too medicinal and the disco flattens it out a little bit. Yeah, maybe. I also just have a thing for overbalanced old whiskeys, like old whiskeys that taste really old. You know what I mean? Even if that means they're kind of lethargic, I kind of still just prefer that over younger stuff, and that's totally subjective on my part. Oh, Brian says, I haven't had batch 5, but heard it's on par with batch 1. Okay. Interesting. Josh Love says, heard the 10-year was Beam. I could believe that. Because that mash bill is 0.5% corn and malted barley away from the mystery mash bill in this, which, well, I've also heard that could be Heaven Hill. And people have still not been settled on that tote whiskey. I thought everybody settled on the fact that it was Beam, and then I've also still heard, oh no, it was Heaven Hill. It's like, I have no idea. But whatever, it doesn't matter. Whichever one it is, it should be a great whiskey. It should have a great classic profile with some nuttiness to it, you know? So, who knows? I'm going to scroll up in the chat here. Toshi's drinking Angel's Envy 2023 cask strength. Just opened. Holy hell, it smells amazing. Nice. You know, I've been seeing like the new bottles, the cask strength rye and some other stuff like that. I think don't they have a new master distiller or something? Very curious about that stuff, especially the rye. Oh, what's up, Christine Vasco? Sorry I missed you earlier. Brian says we need more tote whiskey. All right, quick comparison to Discovery 4 now. So I just took a sip of 11. It's good stuff. It's really, really good stuff. All right, we got one more Venmo super chat coming in here from James Rutledge. Had to look at the picture closely on that one. He says, cheers. Thank you, man. Thanks for jumping in on the giveaway tonight. Okay. Cool. All right, Discovery 4 now on the nose. Oh. TJ says, I've read the mystery mash bill in Discovery 11 is actually the 78.5-13.85, but they round it to make things easier, so it's the same stuff then. So there's even younger versions of it then. If that is the case, then the stuff that was put in Discovery 4, I don't know what year this came out, 19 or 20. I can't remember, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know. But let's just say it was 2020. Let's just round. That stuff would be 18 years at this point. This stuff is 10. So it's 8 years of difference. So they must have distilled that stuff multiple times if that's the case. You know, like different rounds of it. Huh. Okay. So on from 11 to Discovery 4. And the first thing that I smell on Discovery 4 is Barton. It's like not even... It's not even, there's nothing obscure or subtle about it. It's just Barton on the nose of Discovery 4. And I know that, like, usually on Discovery 4, I used to get nuttiness and all this kind of stuff. But it just in this comparison, from 11 to 4, you can immediately smell Barton. Barton, and then a little bit of, like, kind of a younger wood note to it. With nuttiness, which is the thing that I'm used to getting on this batch. But great age to it. And super, super balanced whiskey on the palate. Yeah. Medicinal cherry, chocolate, peanuts. Tons and tons of oak on Discovery 4. Great whiskey. Back to 11. Definitely smells more caramel, like more classic caramel. It smells fresher, more lively, more spicy. And yeah, it does come off more youthful because it is more youthful, pretty much across the board. Yeah. Between the two, which one would I prefer? I think... Okay. You can actually smell the Barton banana in Discovery 4 in this comparison. I don't know if I could pick a winner on this. I think I have to call this a tie, and I hate to say that, but I think they're both so good in their own way. The old whiskey lover in me would probably lean towards Discovery 4. Yeah, I think I would have to go Discovery 4 if I had to pick one, only because I just love how old it tastes, but it's also much more of a predictable profile because it is so, again, in the comparison only, it's so Barton forward for me. I think I like the nose of 4 better, and I think I like the palate of 11 better. That's my final answer on this. So, cool comparison. Unfortunately, since I have so little Discovery 4, I'm going to pour this back. All right. Let's do another. What do you guys think? Discovery 2, Turkey 12. What do you want to see in another head-to-head with this Discovery 11 to kind of drill down on it some more? Let's see. Christine bought the Carter collab. How is that? I heard that the Dickel notes in that still shine through pretty apparently on that batch. So I got Discovery 2. I'll grab the Turkey 12. Is there anything else you guys think comparison-wise to the Discovery 11 we should check out tonight? Trying to think. Avery, yeah, I've got Discovery 2 pulled up right here. Turkey 12, interesting. Okay. Okay. Let's do Discovery. No, let's see. What's in here? Still quite a bit of Barton. But Heaven Hill, 14-year Heaven Hill, 10-year Turkey, 12-year Barton. Let's do Discovery. Let's do Turkey 12 first on this one. So we're obviously dropping a decent bit in proof. My thought was to add some rare breed to this, but whatever. Let's not worry about it. So Turkey 12. Maybe we'll do a... Brian, if you had to pick a Russell's 13 batch, if you're still here, man, which one would you pick to check out? Tim Tam Slam says, do you concur with Minnick that overall 2023 has been a huge disappointment? Look, I actually don't agree with that, but here's why I'm going to say that, because I think one thing we all need to understand is how much whiskey Fred Minnick is tasting in a year. And look, I'm not going to... Let me preface everything I'm going to say with, I largely disagree with Fred Minnick on a lot. And that's not because I don't think that he's a good taster or I have a problem with his pedigree. Like, it's none of that kind of stuff. Who am I to say any of that? Come on. But I find that when I have the opportunity to taste something that I have watched him review, I don't pick up some of the things he's talking about. I disagree with his conclusions about things, and I find a lot of inconsistencies about what he likes and doesn't like between certain things. And so because of that, I know this is all subjective. It's all mood-based for all of us. We can't really defend anything otherwise. We're all only human, but I do find myself disagreeing with him a lot. So here's my caveat. I disagree on this front because I think he just tastes so much whiskey that he's probably sent a lot of crap. And nowadays, I have to say, I don't feel the same urge to go out to the store and try to buy every $35 to $65 bottle that I find on the shelf just for the sake of exploration or the sake of, let's see what they did with this MGP and this finishing barrel, or how did they blend this sourced product? I don't have that urge anymore, and so I'm really not purchasing a lot of crappy whiskey these days. I'm a little more discerning with what I purchase. I'm also trying to buckle down financially, just generally in my life right now. So to sit and buy those kinds of bottles that he is likely sent every single day to taste, I'm just not doing it. And I know how much crappy whiskey there is in the market when you're looking at like 4 to 6 year blended stuff, NDPs, crappy finishing experiments and stuff like that. I'm just not tasting a lot of it anymore, consistently. I'm going for the releases that are tried and true to evaluate batch consistency and blending and different stuff like that. So I actually think, I can't remember if it was 2021 or 2022 where I thought that was a particularly down year. It might have been 2021. I actually think this year's been pretty great for whiskey. When you're looking at a lot of the brands that we've seen fall off in years past, like the Discovery series, it's like, well, look, Discovery 9, I was like really feeling good about. I didn't try 10. Now we're seeing 11 be this good. I mean, we're on an upswing right now with the Discovery line. We're on an upswing with availability and quality of Wild Turkey products and new releases. And I know some of it's super expensive now, like Generations. But also Russell's 13, we're getting a lot of batches in like big releases, and the secondary prices are coming down because of the flooding of the market with this stuff, and none of it seems to be bad. So Michter's 10, I mean, a product that has long been overpriced and hasn't lived up to it, now is insanely good for some reason this year. What else? I don't know, Knob Creek, dropping all the Hardin's Creek stuff. I really think this is actually a great year for whiskey when you're looking at the stuff that actually matters. And I hate to say that, but look, in my mind, a lot of this crap whiskey hitting the market that's being sourced, and it's easy for me to just go, that stuff doesn't matter. It's a lot of people investing money. Maybe some of them love whiskey, and they have loved whiskey, and they're trying to get these things off the ground. That's great, but a lot of them are just going for the quick money grab. Some people going after the money grab, like Blue Run, are having a lot of success just because they have great marketing behind the product. And they're really, really smart from a business perspective. But there are other people trying to do the same thing with horrible marketing, not good blending. They have no skills for finishing whiskey, and they're putting the stuff on the market. And I just say that stuff's not worth anything. And I'm glad that the market's being flooded with it right now, because the glut of whiskey that's going to exist, the mass supply that's going to be out there, all of this is actually going to end up being good for the market years down the road. Right now, it just seems like, what is all this crap? Just plug your ears, cover your eyes, avoid the noise, and reach out for the bottles that you can trust. That's my best advice, But I think it's been a great year for whiskey, for the stuff that actually matters, not the bullshit that's on the shelf that people are trying to pump out and make a quick buck. Joe, I gotta hate on the. I'm sorry, man. It's so clearly a money grab from those guys, and it's obviously a super long play in great business sense and great marketing sense. And okay, like, maybe I'm just not a fan of Willet and the stuff that and so they're sourcing Willet right now and putting it into those chosen single barrels, and maybe some of those barrels are really good, but $200, I'm sorry, that's just, That's just crazy. It's crazy. And when, some of the podcasts I've heard those guys on talking about, I just am rubbed the wrong way by it. Yeah, Brian, I already tasted the blue corn. Yes, way too much Amberana for sure. I think that trend will settle out here in the next give it another year. I think in one more year, that's going to settle out. Sort of like the honey barrel finish when that started. That was a big craze. I think everything on the finishing front will level out when people learn how to really use those barrels correctly. And then it becomes a product with a certain level of expectation. Once the supply is there, I don't think the demand for that stuff is necessarily going to grow much beyond what it is right now. That's my perspective because it's such a particular profile. Could be completely wrong on that. Yeah, Toshi, well, I think the 12 Days of Christmas thing, because, again, we're talking high-price stuff on those bottles, I think it's not selling out because, like, last year, they had the benefit of it being the first time they had ever done it. I think, right? Last year was the first one. And there was a lot of exclusivity to that. A lot of, like, the Pokemon Gotta Catch 'Em All sense. But nowadays, I think they're going to run this, again, their words, not mine, their version of sneakerizing whiskey with these releases. I think they're going to run the concept into the ground and people are going to stop caring about it. The only reason they won't care is because they continue to build the brand into being something that, in my opinion, it's not, because I don't think the quality's there. But they're not attracting. Look, I think they're attracting a lot of enthusiasts for sure that are curious about the product and do think it's kind of cool. But I also think they're equally, if not more, attracting newbie whiskey drinkers who just think like, wow, that's $200. It looks pretty. Maybe they've heard about the backstory of like the guys that are running the company and they want to get in on it. Because I've seen plenty of people, plenty of drummers on the music side of my life who don't know shit about whiskey, buying $200 chosen single barrels, not knowing anything about what they're buying. That to me says like, okay, they're attracting a certain audience of people that normally would not be buying a $200 bottle of whiskey. But I feel like that's going to get old after a while if they keep doing these. We got this 12 days, we got this, special that. Like, but right now on the ground floor, as they're building that brand, it's working. Things are selling out. As they keep coming up with new concepts. But 12 Days of Christmas, I think it'll never have the appeal that it did the first year out. 2 years ago, I guess. I'm just not a fan of Blue Run. And again, man, like I would sit down and talk with those guys. I would love to interview them and ask them stuff. But I would also, I would want to challenge them too on some of these things. Clay, I completely agree with your sentiment. I completely agree with your sentiment there. But yeah, William, I really think largely it's a great year for whiskey. All right. Joe, I don't think I know anything about the High Note Rye. I don't think that's one of the ones that William sent. No, it was the Silver Grove and the Yellow Leaming and then the Blue Claridge. Toshi says they're good people, but they're all marketing. Yeah, exactly. And look, man, I love marketing's cool, but when it comes to release, maybe I'm too personal about this, about whiskey. I mean, I have that sense about music too, There are some people that have great chops, but they have no connection to what they're actually doing. They don't give a shit. They're just out there to be flashy and to, and part of me just wants there to be more love for the game, more love for the whiskey, more love for the music that people are playing, as opposed to just trying to be out there and make marketing dollars. Money's money and money talks, and you can't fault people for doing that, I guess. But the whiskey lover in me and the person who has seen this bring people together and become such a great community, I have to give more attention to that part of my, how I think about whiskey than I do the $200 bottle of something with the butterfly on it, which is very reductive, and I understand that, but that's the point right now for me. Yeah, you just gotta have. Yeah, I like bourbon. You gotta have the passion, and so that's the thing. I would love to sit down with those guys and have them talk me through some of their favorite whiskeys and profiles and why they like them. But they probably, and they might have like, oh, I've always loved X, Y, or Z, but they probably. I don't want, like, you can't judge somebody on their palate, and I'm not trying to say that necessarily. Like, they would have to have a great palate for me to vibe with them and for me to know that they understand whiskey in that sense, to then trust them with what they're doing. But also kind of that, like, or if you just drank Evan Williams your whole life and you say, I really like whiskey, let's do this as a business and see what's going on in the market right now. Okay. Mojo says that's kind of what happened in the weed game. Big business comes in and the little guys and the quality goes out. Yeah. And I admittedly don't know anything about that aspect, but I can imagine it's the same thing. Zach Jones, how do you feel about beating Dan and some other shit in the Tournament of Champions? I feel great about beating Dan and wiping the tears away from Grease's eyes. Yeah, I feel great about all of those things. The only challenge for me in that match is Matt Porter. And I love Matt, and he has defeated me before, I think on multiple occasions. And this will be the time to turn that around. Benjamin Prescott, so with no disparagement, do you think you'd need to be a real bourbon nerd to blend or make a good whiskey? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Because at some point, actually, being too much of a nerd and thinking too much about profiles and specificity can actually hurt you. I think it's kind of like science versus art. You know what I mean? I think scientifically, not that being a bourbon nerd is scientific, because in fact, I think it's definitely like smelling and tasting things and IDing things blind is not really scientific. You know what I mean? But I think at some point you need to look more broadly and be able to put things into a broader perspective, as opposed to just thinking really, really deep about this barrel and this profile. I think you need to think more about the overall picture of the whiskey that you're blending. So it's a total balancing act between science and art, I think, and also like perspective and empathy of the audience that's going to be tasting this whiskey, because they don't understand the process you're going through in that blending. They just get the final product. So if you do this cool thing in the blend, but nobody actually cares or picks up on it, then you actually didn't blend it well. You know what I mean? For me, it's the equivalent of like, sometimes I'll get on stage and play the hardest piece ever on a solo concert, but it's kind of a wacky, weird piece, and nobody really likes it. And then I play this stupid, easy, poppy thing on a concert, and people go apeshit. That's also how whiskey blending is. So it's a balancing act. So I'm not sure. Mojo, I think you're right, man. Matty to Barrel King was a free agent gold sign. It's like it's a part of the game now that is like, I'm actually going to be curious to see if this doesn't happen to somebody else. If somebody else, I mean, look, guys, Brian, if Brian Bikey's still in here, Brian going to Seal Box, it's the same thing in some sense. Brian's not blending the product there. It's a different role. But the idea of taking people from the Whiskey Tube community, although Brian, I feel like, was maybe a little more plugged into the industry, and he knew, Brian knows a lot of people, he's at ground zero for whiskey, essentially. All that being said, though, I think it's an interesting concept to bring people from this community into the industry. And I'll be curious to see over the next 5 years if more people don't get signed in that way. Like you're saying, free agent. I think that's a pretty cool analogy, actually. There you go. And Brian, exactly. I'm sure you do have a product coming out with Sealbox, and that's a fucking great idea. whether it was yours or somebody else's, to have that happen and put your stamp on something. That's so smart, man. I think we need more of it. It's interesting. All right. I feel like I've been ranting and raving. My God, but we have 127 people in here, so thanks for checking it out. We have a lot more to taste tonight still. So I said we're not going to go for 2 hours, but here we are at 127. And we got some more comparisons. I got a little belching going on here. Sorry, guys. A little reflux. But we have this turkey comparison with this Discovery 11. And then we also need to friggin' taste George T. Stagg 2023. So put that there to remind me. All right. Let's drink some more whiskey now. Thank you, Mojo. Hit that like, guys. Discovery 11, after sitting out, actually getting even better. Yeah, even more caramel. I hate to say this. I say that phrase a lot, and I'm sorry about that. I need to get away from, I hate to say this. A straight down the middle boozy caramel note is just my favorite thing in whiskey. And I know a lot of people just think that all whiskey tastes like caramel. That's true maybe to some extent, but the more that this Discovery 11 sits out, it just smells like the most beautiful caramel note. All right. Now, Daniel says, love a good cam rant. Thanks, man. Yeah, it makes me self-conscious. So speaking of C923 real quick before I taste Turkey 12, I do now have a sample from William Molnar of the other laser code, A23. If you guys look on the back of your C923 and look at the laser code, some of them start with A22, some start with A23. And the theory is that there is a difference between the two. I'm going to put a video out about this ASAP. I was so pissed that I got COVID because that video, a blind flight video, and there was one other thing. I can't remember now. It doesn't even really matter. Oh, yeah, and a Hardin's Creek video. Those are, excuse me, sorry, it was a 13th Colony video. An Elijah Craig C923 comparison video, and a blind flight. Those are the things that were on the docket, and COVID destroyed all of that. Unfortunately, I still have a few things in the can, but I just need to edit them. I won't do that comparison tonight, but I am excited to get into it. My mom's in here, says, we're going back and forth from the Steelers game to Drums and Drams, but we officially are no longer Steelers fans, so you have our full attention. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. All right, so Turkey 12. Wow. The relationship here is interesting because the Discovery 11 has so much. It's actually more of like a, I hate to say this. I said that again. I said the phrase again. I always say I hate to say something. It's like a closed off profile actually on the Discovery 11 in some ways because of the spice component. It feels a little more closed off, whereas the Turkey 12, although it is at a lower proof, so it's going to be more approachable, it's kind of blossoming out of the glass a little bit more. My God, that stuff is good. This is phenomenal whiskey. Oh, and that finish. So the finish on the Turkey 12 is absolutely like the finish on this Discovery 11. It's just that whatever whatever they've added to this Discovery 11 to accentuate the spice notes on here, that's the big difference maker from it feeling like a purely turkey product, which it is 3/4 of the way. The difference between it feeling like that and being what it is now, which is more spice forward on the front of the palate and on the nose, which I feel like kind of closes it off a little bit. And that's my problem with the nose, where it doesn't feel so good. But then once you get mid-palate to the finish, I love it. And this Turkey 12 is way more consistent throughout, given that it's all wild turkey, but it just doesn't have the fireworks of the spice notes from the Discovery 11. Dude, Turkey 12 is insane. When I first opened the bottle, I felt like this one, it was also it had a little youth note on the front end, which opened up beautifully on the palate. And I said that it had a little MGP kind of quality to it as well. Whatever. I don't care about that now because it tastes so good. So maybe time heals everything. Daniel says, I'm sincere. Maybe because I often agree with you, so you validate my opinions. That's awesome. Yeah, sometimes I just feel like I'm needlessly bitching about about whiskey, which is it's like the most first world problems thing ever. You know what I mean? Sometimes I just look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, you play classical music and complain about whiskey. There are bigger fish to fry in this world, you know? What's up, Jeffrey Wack? Andrew, yeah, they have them in Kentucky quite a bit, and I don't know what secondary is on them nowadays. Does anybody know? I remember them being around like 180. When I got mine, I think secondary was like 180 or something. But I think it's really good whiskey. I have to imagine secondary is lower on them now, though, because Russell's 13 is not much higher than that these days. Let me check super chats and everything here. Holy smokes. Guys, I've missed a few super chats. Just a couple here. Hang on, let me get into this. Goodness gracious, you guys are so generous. This is kind of fun, though. It's a little slower stream tasting-wise, but I think we're able to get into more detail and talk about stuff. So thanks again for being here, everybody. 125 still hanging out, which is incredible. So please hit that like button if you haven't already. Lito says, I think Turkey 12 is about 150. Okay, that makes sense. Matt. What's up, Tim Darty? Yeah, Turkey 12. Dang. Good. Very, very good. So who was last up? I'm confused, actually, here on these super chats. Hang on, guys. I'm so sorry. Where James Rutledge sent a super chat. Yeah, okay. There we go. So Josh Embry. Josh Embry is in for one. These are guys that are all coming from Venmo. Josh Embry is in for one. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it, man. Adam S. with a crazy generous super chat. A $50 super chat. 10 entries from Adam. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Again, guys, we are giving away a bottle of Discovery 11 tonight. Second place winner is going to get a sample pack of many of tonight's pours. We'll go over the final list once we get there at the end. Once we figure out everything we've tasted this evening. True is jumping in for 3 entries, $15 super chat. Says, looking forward to Discovery 11. What's your favorite scotch this year? Man, I'll tell you what. I have not really been checking out any kind of yearly releases of scotch or anything, so I unfortunately just don't have an opinion on that. I wish I could even think of... Yeah. I just haven't kept up. Financially, I just can't keep up in the scotch game. It's pretty much one or the other for me. to try. I do get some samples sent from people, which is really nice. I have a few Scotch samples here and there that I'll taste on Patreon lives and different stuff, but I can't be consistent, unfortunately. But what's your favorite one? Let me know that, because I'm curious of what I should be picking up if I do maybe grab 1 or 2 bottles of Scotch between now and the end of the year. Christine Vasco in for $4 super chat says, going in for the Disco 11. Thank you, Christine. And here we go. Guy with a massive $50 super chat. Thank you, man. 10 entries. I got you. And he says, in for the giveaway. And my mom is in for 10, but the house isn't going to play tonight. So thanks, Mom. Hollywood says, great show. I texted a good friend at Still Austin to check out your review and accidentally called the channel Drums and Drama. Yeah, if it's Drums and Drama, there's absolutely nothing about whiskey in the title, so that's not good. No, that's cool. Yeah, Still Austin has been great. Whoever found basically the channel, which I'm assuming is like a PR marketing person who may not even be associated closely with the operations at the distillery. Her name's Katie, so she's been sending me these bottles, which is crazy. It just happened out of the blue like a month ago. And each release she's been sending me, and I haven't yet made a video for this, and I'm already getting the next release, which is cool, And as you guys know, I take this very seriously, and there's an element of me that wants to say no to all free product, all free samples, because of the suggestion of impropriety that some could make about that in the comment section, and I completely understand that. But I hope I have gained enough trust from the audience to understand that, and if I do have a bias in a situation, I try to state that. Like, there are certain products, like the batch named after the channel of Magnus Cigar Blend, not my favorite batch. We gave a bottle away of that, and I told you up front, this is not my favorite batch. But we're still giving one away because maybe somebody's going to enjoy having this. Okay. Tim, I also saw the 23C Stagg picture floating around. I'm curious about this. My mom is going in on the Steelers, guys. Look at this. Oh, my goodness. All right. Last comparison of this Discovery 11 review, I guess, is going to be Discovery 2. So I'll throw it in here. Discovery 2. I like bourbon a lot. I'm also waiting on my K-Luke Batch 7 to arrive, and I'm going to give one of those away as well. So, guys, for you to just kind of know what's coming up on the channel, I'm not going to taste this tonight. I want to save this bottle for the next live stream's giveaway, because I have an extra somewhere. Old Overholt 10-year cask strength rye. One open, one sealed. And yeah, I can tell you that it is a bottle worth giving away. Okay, so that is next live stream. We're going to give one of those away, and the live stream after that will probably be K-Luke Batch 7. So just keep that in the back of your mind. No, they're not. They're not William LaRue Wellers, but I can't always give away like bigger stuff like that. I do the best I can with some of this, but I always try to give away really solid bottles that if you throw $5 or $10 in the mix, and it's not a crazy amount of money, but you have the opportunity to win something that's a really solid pour. That 95% of the time I vet the bottles before I'm offered to give them away, because I don't want to give away any crap whiskey. All right. Okay, Brian, you know what I want, man? I just want to get a Batch 5. My sample of K-Luke Batch 5 was so good. 6, I like, but to me, it's just not Batch 5. And 7, with the tasting notes that you gave and some others gave, I'm a little worried that I'm going to find it, because my first impression of the K-Luke brand was Batch 5, which was really, really dark fruit. And 7 sounds a lot brighter, a lot fresher, lively, sweet, honey. and I'm worried that I'm not going to like it so much. 6 to me was way too MGP forward for me to love it. Like that MGP buttercream note. Just had too much of that in there. I liked it still, but I didn't love it. Whoa. Andrew, Redbreast 27. Local manager told me 2 months ago the price was doubling. What? Dude, it was $400 a year ago. Now it's $650 in Ohio. And batch 2, really, really good. Batch 2. Haven't had 1. 3 was remarkably worse, in my opinion, than batch 2, which I can't believe I've even had the chance to try 2 different batches of Redbreast 27. There is no way in God's green earth that Redbreast 27 is worth $1,100. It's not worth $650. $400 was a stretch, but for a 27-year whiskey, you have to kind of understand the scarcity of that just in and of itself and evaporation and everything. But with the wild swing, in my opinion, from batch 2 to 3, I think 4 is out, but I don't think I've tasted 4. I will never probably at this point own a Redbreast 27 unless I decide I'll have one more bottle from now till the day I die, and I pay up on secondary for a batch 2. Then I would do it. But A Spirited Life says, "Hey there, Sea Leach Music." Yeah, that's me. Who am I talking to? Sea Leach Music is like my music handle on Instagram and stuff like that. So who's on the other end of A Spirited Life? Or are you a whiskey person that found my other alter ego, which is actually my regular ego, I guess. Lido, I'm telling you, man, batch 2 is so good. Like, batch 2 to me is 50 to 65% better than batch 3. I mean, it's just crazy. Wow, Avery, that's pretty wild to hear Total Wine with those humongous price increases. Oh, Blue Spot. Blue Spot is $289? No. Get the fuck out. I'm sorry. Get out of here. That is nonsense. That in my mind is an $80 whiskey at best. Chris, I have actually a lot of samples of Found North from Copper Wolf, and I need to get into them. I just haven't had a chance yet. So that's going to happen soon. A lot of different batches. The batch I think I bought 7 is the one that I was like not crazy about. Oh, Christine says, I may have a close relationship with A Spirited Life. Oh. Things are making more sense now. Okay. Oh, there we go. The other Vasco, confirming your PayPal. Also, you still have the Redbreast 27 sample from us. I still have it, actually. Yeah, I can't remember which batch that was, Mark. It's up there somewhere on my sample shelf. All right, I do have to do this. I've been talking and talking and talking. Sorry, guys. All right, Discovery 2 versus 11 comparison. So 11, I just literally just poured it down my face. I'm pretty lucid right now, and I'm still pouring whiskey down my face. So bear with me. I love in Discovery 11 how all cherry on the nose transforms to raspberry preserves on the palate for me. I think that's awesome. It's fun. It's just that's a fun, it's like when you're nerding out about whiskey. That's one of those moments where you're like, and then you get it on the palate and you're like, wow, that's just cool. Oh, Mark's is batch 2. What was Mark, remind me, man, what was the proof of batch 2? Avery, I'm less lucid, pouring whiskey down my throat. Zach, guys, what were my thoughts on Discovery 11? I think it's really good. I think it gets better as it goes. The nose is fine. The front of the palate is good. Mid palate, very, very, very good, and the finish is outstanding. All right, so here we go. Discovery 11, Discovery 2. That's tough. Oh, man. Oh, geez. All right, guys, let me get one more Venmo here. We got a $10 super chat from Keith Thompson. Thank you, Keith. In for 2 entries. Appreciate it, man. And it looks like Mark Vasco jumped in. There we go. Mark Vasco. Oh, I got 2 different PayPals. I missed this first one. I never get PayPal, so I have to always check specifically. I got one from Daniel Green. Thank you, man. Daniel Green is in for 4 entries. $20 super chat. Says, been wanting to spend $130 to $150 for a good bottle. Been thinking about Discovery 11. Curious how it compares to a Russell's 13. Well, you know what? I will do that comparison, man. Sorry that I missed this. This was about 40 minutes ago, so I hope you're still hanging out tonight. If you are, let me know in the chat, and I'll make sure I do that comparison for you. And then finally, we've got Mark Vasco in. $420. Gotcha, man. Thank you. 4 entries. Boom. Mark says 53.5% on batch 2. Okay. Yeah, 53.5. What was batch 3 then? Is it like a 53 point something percent maybe? Yeah, 53.1. That's what it was. Okay. You know what? Between 11 and 2, here's the comparison. If you guys have ever, let's say, you know what? I think this is probably an okay comparison. You ever taken a Larceny barrel proof and put it next to an Elijah Craig barrel proof? That's kind of an extreme example because the age difference is a lot. But the idea of the Larceny barrel proof being a little younger, a little spicier, a little brighter, Elijah Craig barrel proof being a little oakier, a little more full-bodied, concentrated flavor, big, dark, rich. That's this comparison between Discovery 11 and Discovery 2. Unblind, I've always loved Discovery 3 the best. Blind, I think Discovery 2 has actually won several blinds for me between those first 4 batches, which I think were like the pinnacle of Discovery. Discovery 2 in this case is like the Elijah Craig barrel proof. Discovery 11 is kind of like the Larceny barrel proof, if that tells you anything. Discovery 2 is, and this is higher, I think it's 121.12. Check my memory. 122.2. Okay. I think maybe I'm thinking of the apple brandy. Anyways, 122.2 proof on this. But the flavor concentration in this is just remarkable. And there is 14-year Heaven Hill in here. And you can actually smell that. So between these two, man, it's close. Because the palate is so good on Discovery 11. Tim Doherty says, saw a crazy price on Blue Spot today. I paid $109. Yeah, that sounds more reasonable than $289. That is, that's hilarious. Avery says, I have batch 2 and batch 5, Russell's 13. Which ones are you going to compare? I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, I have a batch 2. I don't have batch 5. I only have batch 4. Wow. On the nose, Discovery 2 easily wins. Front of the palate, Discovery 11. And it's getting better. Okay. Discovery 2 is better, I think. So, yeah. This is probably the only batch that's going to outright beat Discovery 11. Like across the board, nose, palate, finish, everything. I think that's the only one. I think other things will win on one of the 3 attributes, nose, palate, finish. Discovery 2, I think, wipes it clean 100%. Yeah, Hollywood, they did say that, but then they corrected themselves, whoever it was, and said blue spot. Andrew, I just did batch 4 a second ago on the comparison, so. William, unfortunately, I thought I was going to be able to get out for, if you guys don't know what we're talking about, it's a Ohio Liquor State event called Single Barrel Saturday. I have a gig rehearsal the morning of on that Saturday morning for a gig the next day on Sunday morning, a church gig actually. So I can't do it. I wouldn't be able to get anywhere until 11:30, and I have on Saturday I have rehearsal 9 to 11 for one gig, rehearsal 2 to 5 for a different gig, and then a concert at 8 p.m. for the second rehearsal of that day. So it's just kind of a crazy day, moving gear all around town. So I'm not going to be able to go out at all, which I'm really bummed about. What's up, Audio Junkie? In the house from Northern California, will Disco Series return to old glory with Bardstown Juice being old enough to produce their own? I don't know. I mean, time will tell on that. This one only has 6% of a 6-year, the weeder, but apparently that 6% of that weeder spent its entire life in French oak, which is going to really have a significant impact, and that's likely why there's only 6% of it in the blend. So I don't think we're really going to know that until, I mean, I don't want to see a Discovery batch with a majority Bardstown juice in it until that stuff's at least 10 years old minimum. I hope they don't start pumping it in, pumping it full of their own whiskey by 8 years old. I really hope they don't do that. Whoa. Jeff Perkins bought a Discovery 3 at auction that was counterfeit. It had a synthetic cork. Holy crap, man. I'm glad they refunded you. Wow, that sucks, man. Someone didn't do their research. Christine, I'll be moody but out early. Yeah. That's funny. That's funny. I'm not an early bird. All right. So we got to do one more comparison because I said I would do it to Daniel Green, who sent a very generous PayPal super chat, and that comparison was to Russell's 13. I will select batch 2 for that because it is regarded as, a middle of the road batch, maybe at best. So batch 2 on the laser code, if you're wondering, is going to be LL/JL. Okay. And proof points are going to align very, very well on this. Russell's 13 is 114.8. Discovery 11 is 118.1. So a 3.3 proof difference. Well, I have no idea, honestly, what I'm looking for. I haven't kept up on any of the, other people should answer this in the chat because I'm not keeping up on what's being released since I know I'm not going to be able to get out there. Yeah, John, I would certainly love to get a Four Roses. I did hear that they had some of those. Last year they surprised everybody, I think, right, with the Weller Foolproof. So I wonder what some of the surprises this year are going to be. Oh, Everett. Yeah, I've heard that the Midwinter Nights Dram has fallen off. So at 200, there's absolutely no way I'm going to be buying that. Oh, and I did see Willet. I did see Willet Mark. So yeah, that's awesome. So Mark, let me ask you this real quick. Your Spirited Life, are you doing like the thing that you were talking to me about, you know, with all the mics and everything? Are you doing this on YouTube, or are you doing it on audio, or like have you started releasing stuff? And if you have, I'm sorry I missed it. I'm curious. Matt, I'm about to get into the George T. Stagg, dude. I'm taking forever. I'm taking freaking forever. I don't know why 127 people are still here. I feel very bad. Huh. Okay. Looking for something here. Sorry, Toshi. William Molnar says no more than 2 hours. Here we are. We're at an hour 59, 05, 06, 07. John Cloud. Wow. It's just, look, the comparison between Discovery 11 and Russell's 13 is very interesting because the profiles are so close, way closer on the nose than I would have expected from a Russell's 13, which has a lot of older whiskey in the blend. This Discovery 11 smells way closer to that than I thought it would, even though it's only 13 years max. So I subjectively love the old profile of Russell's 13, but if you want to talk about length of experience on the palate and everything like that, Discovery 11 wins, but it does have a little bit more, again, youthful spiciness to it. So a good comparison. It's not going to dethrone Russell's 13, but it's way closer than I thought, and way closer, and closer than I am comfortable admitting, probably. Alrighty, let's do some George T. Stagg, because why not? So let's do a quick rundown. I'm going to take a note on my phone. I'm going to make a quick list of the samples that I will send the person who gets second place in the giveaway. So it's going to be both Still Austins, the High Rye and the Blue Corn. It's going to be Discovery 11, and I'll send a generous sample of Discovery 11. I'll throw in a Discovery 2 for the comparison, because I think that's a great comparison. I don't have enough Discovery 4 to throw in there, but I will throw in Wild Turkey 12. I'll throw in Russell's 13. And so what I'll do is I'll send you an ounce of each of the comparisons, 13, Wild Turkey 12, Discovery 2, and I'll do 3 ounces of Discovery 11 so that you can do a 1 ounce comparison to each of those. So I think that'll be pretty cool. I'll throw in the Old Forester 86 Dusty. And I will also throw in the current Old Forester 86, even though easy bottle to get, but I want you to do that comparison. What am I missing? I think that's everything, right? I will also throw in a sample. Where's it at? Even though I didn't taste it tonight, I'll throw in a sample of the new Old Overholt Rye Cask Strength 10-year. And I will send you an ounce of the 11-year for that comparison. We'll taste these on the next live stream, not tonight. So there we go. Pretty solid second place, I think. Yeah. Yeah. I feel good about that. Okay. Cool. Zach, let's see how this goes right now. Because Matt shared this with me, I should share this with someone else. So, let's see what I can do. Let's see what I can do. I just want to be able to put a video out for this as well. And I want to have enough for Sarah, selfishly. She took a little nip off of this one earlier. But here we go. George T. Stagg 2023. Guys, we will do the giveaway. Let's say, I want to be safe here. 10:20 Eastern time. So that's about 12 minutes from now. 10:20 Eastern time. Keep me honest on that, please, in the chat. We'll do the giveaway for tonight. All right. You know what? I think I probably drank it all. I think I finished my sample of George T. Stagg 2022. I was gonna compare that, if possible. All right, Matt Porter. By the way, guys, again, a big thank you to Matt for sending this, the remainder of his media sample of George T. Stagg. That's ridiculously generous. And also, congrats again to Matt for the new gig. So, on the nose, George T. Stagg 2023, 135 proof. I actually don't think the nose on this is very good. Huh. Yeah, the nose is... I know I gotta let this sit in the glass. Like, I don't want to spin it around too much. It's really closed off. It's really proofy, and it doesn't smell... Like, I'll just taste it. I'll just taste it. The palate is way better than the nose. Way, 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 way better than the nose. Yeah, the nose on this at first, it's just all ethanol, and like you can tell something's going on underneath it, but you don't really know what it is because it's just too proofy. Guys, if you give something a hardcore SJ, it actually whips ethanol out of the glass at you. Like, the more you sit and spin this, and then go straight to the nose, it's just ethanol. It's actually, in my opinion, like, if you're gonna whip it around like that, you have to give it a second to sit and rest before you nose it. I don't think the nose on this George T. Stagg is very good. That's kind of disappointing. Like, okay. Well, no, guys, I mean, it is like, I would encourage you to do this experiment. And the way I learned this, the most obvious example of this for me was the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof C923, which again I still don't think is a great whiskey. The A22, spoiler alert, but the nose on that improves drastically if you don't sit and agitate it before you smell it. You know, if you let it sit for a second and then go to the nose just totally gently, it actually smells better. Johnny says froth it. So like on the nose, now that I'm used to it, I've tasted it on the palate. I'm more used to the proof. What the nose has on here is like, it's super toasty. It smells like toasted bread. It smells like toasted bread. It smells like cherries that are on fire. There's like a little bit of like a candy apple kind of note to it. But it's still really, really masked under this ethanol note. And you know, what do you expect from George T. Stagg? Typically, I expect humongous red fruit notes, like the most concentrated candied red fruit notes like raspberry and cherry that you would expect from a Buffalo Trace product. You actually start to get a little bit of molasses at 15 plus years like this. Like big kind of leather oak notes that for Buffalo Trace, you really don't get leather until you get to this like 15-year mark with George T. Stagg. And there's a distinct kind of Buffalo Trace leather, different than Jim Beam, Heaven Hill, Wild Turkey leather. But on the nose of this, it's really this like toasted bread thing. Yeah. Toasted bread is the big note with some sort of like, what do I say, cherries on fire. That's what I would call it. So then palate, and remember 2022, my big qualm with that was just the finish, that there was a big grassy note on the finish. But the rest of 2022, I really liked. The palate was the best part. The nose actually was still pretty closed off like this. If you go back to 2020, remember there was no 2021. So you go from 2022 back to 2020, which is, I think, moving down in proof quite a bit. I think 2020 was 130.2, maybe. And I think 2022 was 138.7 or something like that. When you go back to 2020, because the proof was a little bit lower, the nose was fantastic. It was so red fruit forward. It was just, I thought 2020 was beautiful. And I would take it over 2022, even if the 2022 palate was maybe more explosive because of that higher proof. I thought 2020 was very balanced. This 2023 to me is perhaps my least favorite of all of them on the nose. Now to the palate. Palate much better. It does need time in the glass. It's better now than it was 10 minutes ago. And who said it? Kagan Key says no grass. So far, none. Which is great. I'm waiting on the finish because the 2022, the grassy note, took a while to get there. I don't think so. I mean, like, I'm looking for it now, so I wanted everything with a grain of salt now that I'm looking for it. No, I don't think this is grassy. Like, is this, and let's be really, really realistic about this, right? Is this 2023 George T. Stagg better than like all of the Stagg Juniors? Yeah, I think so, probably. Like, let's put it next to 22A, you know? So that was 22A. pretty bitter, you know. Actually, Stagg 22A is way grapier whiskey, whereas you go to this George T. Stagg, it's much more red fruit, like medium profile as opposed to dark. But the palate, none of that bitterness from the Stagg 22A, which presumably comes from it being a little younger, or quite a bit younger. So the Stagg 2023 is kind of a George T. Stagg. Good God, kind of a disappointment for me. Yeah, kind of a disappointment. I am gonna have to spend some more time with this. We're deep into it tonight, but I got to be honest with you. Looking around the room, everything, you know, I've had a decent little bit of whiskey tonight, but actually it's been a pretty tame live stream because I've talked so much. Sorry. I want to revisit this completely sober, but I don't think this is gonna. Like, I think of 2020, 2022, 2023. This is probably the worst George T. Stagg of the bunch. But I want to taste it with fresh legs and do a few more comparisons on my own, and then I'm going to make a video for it. I got to give Sarah one little pour, too. Yeah, and that's the thing, Mark. Like, I think you have to hold this thing to a high standard. And even like the batch variants of this over the last 3 releases, from 2020 to 2 to 23 now, they are all 3 just wildly different releases. And I don't know what the goal is. Is it to be more consistent or not? I'm not exactly sure. It would be kind of hard to be that consistent with a once a year release, because it's easier to speculate on, or it's easier to really analyze that because there's so much time between each release. But yeah, I don't this to me is not, you know, when you see people paying $1,000 for this bottle in the secondary market, there's just absolutely no way this is worth that. Whereas if you go and you taste like what Toshi sent, that sample of I think it was 09, George T. Stagg 09, that's over there somewhere. That right now on secondary is like $2,400. I know that's like a shitload of money. I would completely pay that much money for that bottle because it's so good. And this, there's no way that's a $1,000 bottle. There's just no way. So, yeah, William, you're not going to be on the media sample list for this one anytime soon. Mark, they only have so much whiskey that's right age and profile to work with year over year, so that's tough to match the profile. Yeah, and even if that's not the goal, at least the goal should be to make it exceptional, you know? Audio Junkie, have you established your bottle lineup for Christmas and New Year's? You know, I used to have, like... I used to do that. I used to have bottles that I would drink on holidays. Thanksgiving and Christmas were the two in particular. I actually don't really like to drink on New Year's. I like to wake up in the new year feeling great. And you know, when I was younger, for sure, I was partying on New Year's Eve or whatever. I don't really, you know, Sarah and I don't watch the ball drop. Like, we're typically in bed before the New Year's there. And I kind of like that. I kind of like not drinking on New Year's Eve. But yeah, like Thanksgiving and Christmas, I used to have bottles like Midwinter Night's Dram, Magnus Cigar Blend, usually very aromatic, probably finished whiskeys that I would drink throughout the day or with dinner that night or something. I don't really do that anymore. It's just kind of a hassle. I don't really think of it like that anymore. Toshi, I'm the worst cam. The 08 and 2010 are in bottles for you on my shelf. I promise it'll be... Dude, don't worry about it, Toshi. Just whenever it gets here, man. And if it doesn't get here, that's the most okay, because those are such ridiculous bottles. You do not need to send that to me. William, when I was younger, it's like 3 years ago. No, I mean, you know, 8 years ago? I don't know. Whenever I was an undergrad, being a degenerate person. All right, guys, 10:22. we're going to wrap up the giveaway entries now. Let me make sure we're good here. All right, we're good on PayPal. If you have any last-minute super chats, you got to send them like in the next 60 to 90 seconds, please. I'll check Venmo. We do have 2 more, I believe, on Venmo. Let me confirm that. Last person I got, I think, was Keith Thompson. Yeah, I got Keith Thompson, and then I got the 2 PayPal super chats. Before Keith would have been Guy. Yep, there we go. So I've got James jumping in for 2 entries. Thank you, James. I'm going to tell you what, guys. James has won so many freaking giveaways. It's epic. And he's local, too. So he's killing it. Toshi, dude, in for another. Okay, man. What are you doing? Thank you, Toshi. Gosh, man. You don't have to do this. Thank you. Toshi's in for another 10 entries. $50 super chat. He says round 2. Round 1 was like round 1.5 at minimum. So thanks, man. And Chris Bruce now in for 5 entries with a very generous $25 super chat. Thank you, guys. All right, so if you have any last-minute ones, get them in here on the Venmo, on the channel, whatever. But we got to do this giveaway. Is there anything else to taste tonight? I'd love to wrap up with something like pretty cool, you know? Not that the George T. Stagg wasn't cool. Matt, that's the coolest. Also, I forgot to mention this earlier. For those of you Ohioans in here, I know there are a few of you, Middle West Spirits sent this my way. This is, and by the way, their presentation, I mean, come on. It's off the charts. Although it's a little tough to open, actually. Look at this. Look at this. Little fresh box smell. There we go. Little decal here on the top. The camera's not going to pick that up kindly. But they sent like this little info card. And because we have Single Barrel Saturday coming up in Ohio, they ended up picking 2 bourbon 4-grain barrels and 2 dark pumpernickel rye barrels for that event. And they sent this out to some folks, and they say Middle West Spirits, they sent 2 samples in here with a glass. So only one of the bourbon and one of the rye barrels as opposed to both of them. Middle West Spirits is excited to be part of Single Barrel Saturday 2023. This annual tradition of releasing single barrels on the first Saturday in December allows for distilleries to showcase their best spirits for the holidays. We're proud to have 4 of our whiskey barrels selected because we consider you a whiskey aficionado, LOL. We have enclosed an exclusive tasting as a preview of the upcoming release. We would love to be able to tell you which retailers will have these products, but even we don't have this information, blah, 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 blah. And then they talk about these barrels. Now, one really cool thing about this, I know we're going to do the giveaway right now. I see I got one more super chat from Numinium. I'll get that in there in a second. One really cool thing about this is that I want to make sure I say this correctly. Last year, so maybe 1 year and 4 months ago or 3 months, it was either last August or last September of 2022, I went and I did some single barrel picks with the Ohio Liquor Agency from Middle West Spirits. And we all had to rate the barrels that we wanted, and it came down to a vote, and only one of the whiskeys that I wanted actually got into the mix, which was the bourbon that was selected for the state. But the 2 ryes that I really loved are here, barrels 1721 and 1723. And they actually gave me the samples that we were using straight from the barrel, and I kept these. What's kind of funny about this is that I believe barrel 1721 was selected by like Trev and the Shelf Turds maybe or somebody. They selected this barrel some months later, and I have this barrel sample. But the barrel that the Ohio Liquor Agency selected for Single Barrel Saturday is 1723. And I have a sample of 1723, but from like 16 months ago from the same exact barrel. So let's end this stream tonight. I'll taste these Middle West Spirits picks. at the end of the stream because I want to do it before Single Barrel Saturday, which is in 2 days. So I will taste these tonight after we draw for the giveaway right now. I know that's not going to apply to everybody, just the Ohio people in here, but if you want to hang around and still, you know, hang out on a whiskey stream after the giveaway, feel free, but I know the numbers are going to dwindle. Okay. Numinium in for 5, 1 entry into the giveaway. Get you in here. And that should do it. I will check Venmo one last time. PayPal should be good. And we have a significant list of super chats. One of the more significant lists that we've ever had on the channel. So thank you all for all of this, for the support. It's really incredible. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to share my screen with you. All right, so as you guys know, let's get these off the screen, okay? The way this works, wow, it's going to be hard to do this in one go. I'm going to zoom out to, let's try 125 and see if it works. Okay, well, not quite. Let's go to 110. Can we fit everybody? Well, we know that Chris Bruce and Numinium are good. We know that Numinium's good at the end, so we can do this. So there you go. Everybody's on the screen, right? Zach Butler was the first. There you go. And we're going to take the banner off the screen now. Please check your name and the number of entries that you have. Just a quick reminder, if you're Zach Butler and you give a $15 super chat, 15 divided by 5 is 3. So 3 entries on the screen, and that... Is that 3? Well, why is this say... Oh, it got jacked up here. Zach, I got to manually enter your name here. I think maybe the equation or whatever that Amy has set this up with got messed up, and I'll ask... I'll see if we can fix that next time. But I manually entered you, Zach, so we're fine now. So Zach, his name's here. 3 entries from a $15 super chat, and he's populated 3 times. Toshi got 20 entries. So from 4 down to 23. There you go. He's got his 20 entries. It auto-populates. So check your name and your number. If you entered 2 different super chats, for instance, Toshi entered a $100 super chat here, 20 entries, and he also entered another one, Toshi at the bottom, a $50 super chat. He's going to be in there twice. So please check your entries for the next 60 seconds, and then we will do the giveaway on random.org. I'll have to pull that site up. William Molnar says Middle West is by far the best Ohio distillery. Yeah, and they have a new facility now on Alum Creek Drive here in Columbus. A brand spanking new facility. It looks great. Very cool. I drove by the other day. So I'm just excited for those guys. They're doing great stuff. Yeah, and Mark, there's going to obviously be another Middle West rye, and I don't know what the barrel number is going to be for that, but I need to go back and check to see if the 1721, the other barrel that I have this sample of, I believe this is the one that it was either the Shelf Turds or Trevor's. Like somebody picked this barrel that I know, and I just thought it was funny because I'm like, hey, I have samples of that one. Watershed doing another Nocino barrel. I'm a little bored of those, unfortunately. I mean, they are good for what they are, but one of those bottles will last me years, you know? It's a big mood pour thing, at least for me. All right, let's get into this now. I'm going to copy the list from the right side. Look at all these super... We had, how many? 147 super chats. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That is incredible. So let's go to random.org. We'll go to the list randomizer. We will paste everybody's name in here that I just copied. And we're going to run it 7 times. The top two are the winners. Number 1 gets the Discovery 11. Number 2 gets the sample pack. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alito and Toshi at the top on 6. Here we go. 7. Boom. Whoa, we got duplicates. So Marshall is going to win, but he can't win both. So that's going to roll down to Toshi. So Toshi with the sample pack and Marshall with the Discovery 11. So there we go, guys. Congratulations. James coming in close. Guy coming in close. Adam as well. Thank you all so freaking much. We still have 99 in here at the end, which is insane. It's not the end, though. We still have 2 more whiskeys to taste here from Middle West Spirits. For those of you that care, that want to still hang out, don't want to go to bed yet, I got you. We're gonna still hang for another, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, and then we will sign off here as we get closer to 11 p.m. But it's Thursday. It's basically the weekend now, you know? Tomorrow's payday. Just, you know, at least for me. Tomorrow's payday for me. For those of you paid on the 15th, I know. Another week. But hit that like button if you guys are going to bounce off. And again, thank you for being here. Congrats, you guys. All right, let me write this down so I don't forget. I think I have both of your information. I think I've sent stuff to Marshall before. Listen, Wilmo18. Just let it be. Just let it be. Congrats, guys. I am bummed about the George T. Stagg. I will say, like, the palette is pretty damn good. You know what? Maybe I'm looking at this 2020 with rose-colored glasses. I'm gonna have to see if I can track down like another sample or maybe, I don't know, trade for a sample locally or try to figure this out of the George T. Stagg 2020 to see if I'm crazy. But my memory says that was just a really balanced George T. Stagg. And it was my first one, so maybe I took that for granted. But I would really love to try that 2020 again to see what's going on. Yeah, Andrew, exactly. Payday is basically the weekend. Colt 45, congrats. The 30-gallon barrels of pumpernickel gone at the distillery. I'm speaking out of turn here, but I believe they have a few of those barrels still hanging around. Like, they have really, really old ones. I think when I was there last, they said they were at like 8 years or 9 years or something. And they were like, hey, we're going to do something special with these. We don't know what, but we're going to do something special with these. That's the last that I remember hearing. But at that point, at that age, from those smaller format barrels, those things might really be over oaked. So I have no idea what they're planning to do. I would just love to taste one and see what that is. I might reach out to them and just see, like, hey, could I have like 1 ounce from one of those barrels if you still have them? Because I would love to see what that's all about. Just for like curiosity's sake. I might ask them. Not that, I mean, who am I? But they've been really good to me over the years. But also still, who am I to ask for that? Because those are probably their most special barrels. Oh my God, Toshi. You have an unopened 2020. Oh, I mean, no pressure, but, you know, I would love to taste it again. I'm just kidding, dude. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's get into it just a little bit of Middle West before we sign off this evening. Also, for those of you still here, we're deep in it, but let me say this. This bottle, which I said I'm not going to taste till next week. This bottle, if you see this bottle at SRP, you absolutely should buy this bottle. I've had this poured out, like the entire live stream, it's been sitting out. I probably poured it an hour before the stream, so it's probably been sitting here open for 3.5 hours. I am telling you, I really, really like this whiskey. You do have to like a little nuttiness. It is Jim Beam, and it is a very nutty example. And if you know me, you know that I'm not the biggest fan of that. I'm telling you. I really like it. Just saying. So in the next week, between now and the next live stream, although I am seriously considering doing a live stream Sunday night, a bonus live, because I've been gone so much. If I do a bonus live, this is the giveaway. And this will be the featured bottle on that stream. I'm telling you I like this stuff. Anyways. Let's do some Middle West spirits. So, yeah, Mark says that he's got the 11-year, which was I want to say it was like a 93.2 proof. Let's see. Oh, 92.6. Okay, 92.6. They're super different, but I would love to proof down the cask strength to see if it gets close to this. But very different profiles with that amount of water, because the cask strength is 121, so it's almost 30 proof points higher. So let's do this Middle West stuff now. I gotta grab 3 more glasses. What do you guys think? Would is there anybody that's like, hey, don't do a Sunday stream because this person or that person's going to do a stream, or football's on or something like that? Like, what do you guys think? Would a Sunday night pop-up be good? And if I'm looking at my Sunday is crazy. I have 2 church concerts in the morning, a dress rehearsal for the youth orchestra, a concert for me, and then a concert for the youth orchestra. So that's 5 things. So I would not be able to do a live stream. Probably 9 p.m. live stream on Sunday. Would you guys be into that, or is that stupid to do it on a Sunday at that hour? Like a bonus pop-up. Okay, Chad and Sarah, what time do they go on? They usually only do like an hour, right? Maybe like a shorter stream. I'm not sure these days. I truthfully, I don't watch too much of their stuff, so I'm not sure. Do Sunday. Well, let's do it. Why not? I usually like to see, Sarah on Sundays, but this Sunday we could make this happen, because I'm going to be able to actually see her quite a bit next week. But if I have busy weeks, then I like to use Sunday as a time to see her. But if I have an upcoming week where I can really see her, then I'm off the hook on Sundays. Cool. Let's do it, guys. I will. Let's plan on it. I'll try to do a 9 p.m. Sunday, and we will give away one of those old Overholt cast strength ryes. And hopefully the K-Luke batch 7s are here sooner than later, and I can give one of those away on the next Thursday night live stream. I will say this, on the 14th, 1 week from right now, I have rehearsal conflicts, so I will have a late live stream next Thursday night, which means it's probably a 10:30 start time. And usually those aren't good start times to do giveaways anyways, because it's just so late. So maybe we'll just do a chill live stream next Thursday night, late 10:30. But this coming Sunday we will do a maybe 9 p.m. is what we were saying, live stream. So that'll be cool. And again, tomorrow night I'm gonna be on with Matt Porter, ADHD Whiskey, hanging out, drinking blind pours, and just having a good time. Awesome. Let's do it. The table has taken a turn. We have bottles everywhere now. So here's what we'll do. We will start off by reviewing the Middle West Spirits one of the bourbon picks they sent me, barrel 0951. Yeah, 0951. At 125.62 proof. They did not send any... Well, the color on this, actually. You know what? This might be from a smaller format barrel, actually. And given the barrel number... Yeah, this might be a smaller barrel from them. I'm not sure, but the color is suggesting to me that it would be. Huh. The ryes, I know these are 53-gallon ryes, and they are much... Actually, even between the two, there's a big color difference. Yeah. Wow. Oh, and you know why? Because the two ryes... I'm a dumbass, sorry. I poured from... Again, they picked this barrel. I have a sample from that exact same barrel from a year and 4 months ago. And of course, that one that is much younger is a lighter color. Duh. Okay. Now that that's out of the way, it's still... The bourbon is way darker than the rye. I would have to imagine, if this is not a super old 53-gallon bourbon, which I don't think it is, this might be... I just spilled everywhere. This might be a smaller format barrel. Marshall, yeah, man, congrats. You did win. And Marshall, remind me, do I have your info? I think I've sent you stuff before, right? Tim, I'm referring to Eastern Time. All right, so bourbon-wise here, you know, I need a point of comparison. I'm sorry. I gotta pour one that I already have here. So here's what I've got. Here is last year's Ohio liquor pick. This was, I believe, from a 53-gallon barrel. Right? Make sure, based on the colors. Yeah. So here's the Ohio liquor pick from last year. And here is the pick that I did with Drew P. Whiskey and Brian Abandoned Bourbon a couple years ago. 2 years ago? 3? Something like that. Which was from a smaller barrel. So I'm going to pour the Ohio liquor pick from last year, which I thought was a 53-gallon. Let's see if the color resembles this pick. It is way lighter. So this Ohio liquor pick for this single barrel Saturday might be a smaller barrel, man. I think it is. Damn, I'm going to have to find a bottle of that. Oh, wow. Mark says the other barrel's 4441. Yeah, this has got to be a smaller barrel then. So this is last year's. It smells like Buffalo Trace, and it very, very honey forward. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the crazy thing about Middle West is that a lot of their stuff is very Buffalo Tracy on the bourbon side. Like the bourbon that we picked not last year, excuse me. The bourbon that we picked with Drew P. Whiskey and Brian tasted like E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof. I mean, it was really, really good. A lot of their bourbons get that way. So that was the Ohio liquor pick from last year. Now let me pour the one that we did from, again, the smaller barrel. Check out the color difference. Yeah, there you go. Yep, so this is they must have still had some of these laying around then, these 30 gallons. So one of these barrels in the Ohio liquor picks for the Middle West bourbons. Barrel 0951 is a 30-gallon, and that's interesting. Wow, and it's, I mean, this is the one that we picked 2 years ago, which we thought was like E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof or Stagg Junior. Yeah, it's great. And this is the Ohio liquor pick from right now, which is even, it smells like a Stagg Junior, like this one, but it has the addition of like a menthol and spearmint note, almost like a rye note on the top of it. And it is way more jumping out of the glass. Wow, that's a wacky bourbon. Whoa. It developed a really funky rye note to it that I've never tasted on one of their bourbon picks. Oh, interesting. Okay, this is actually gonna, I need a drink of water. Excuse me. Choking on water. Marshall, yeah, thanks, man. Send me your updated stuff. Excuse me. Mark says, do you want their notes on it? No, not yet. Because I don't trust their notes. This is very interesting. So the one that we picked, again, 2 years ago, it's got such a balanced palate from front to back. It is very intense, but the whole experience is super balanced. The one that they've picked from Ohio Liquor, I don't know who was on the pick team with this extra funky. It's a spearmint note, and it's also a craft whiskey note. I am not used to getting a craft whiskey note from these like Middle West smaller barrels. Typically, they manage those so well that they never develop that real syrupy, farmy, crafty thing. For all the flavor that this one has, unfortunately, it has a really big craft whiskey note to it. And it's bitter. So there's a lot of flavor. And you know what? Maybe this is what happens when their whiskey sits in one of these smaller format barrels for too long. Because with a barrel number like 0951, and the one that I'm tasting is 1659, like 700 barrels later, and they're still smaller barrels. That means this one's probably been around for a while. And, you know, maybe that's what happened. It could just be that particular barrel where it was in the warehouse, or it could be that this has just sat in the barrel too long. I actually, you know, I was intrigued at the beginning. The color, presumably it's that smaller barrel. I actually don't think it's that great, unless you really like that craft whiskey thing. That feels more like a Texas whiskey to me. Okay, so I might go with barrel 4441, you know? And you know what, Mark? Let's see. Their notes might be here. I have their notes on this barrel, on this card. It says, these are terrible tasting notes. I don't know who wrote this. I don't know if Middle West wrote these or because here's the deal. Often Ohio Liquor writes these notes. And like I said last year when we did these picks with them, I ended up writing the tasting notes for all the Ohio liquor barrels that were selected last year from Middle West. I ended up writing those tasting notes with whoever was there from Ohio Liquor, and he asked me to write them with them because everybody else was just hanging out, and I was giving him all these notes, but he was putting them in his own words, and it was just like, no, the way I'm saying these notes to you are the way that I would present these notes to somebody, but he wanted to put his own, he wanted to create a narrative behind the notes. Something leads to the explosive finish, blah blah. It's like, no, the way that I'm saying it is the way that I would want it presented to the audience. I'm not giving you information to spin. And it really bothered me. So if something like that happened this year and somebody just tried to spin these notes, these could be Middle West notes. That's fine. They're going to be dealing with a lot of barrels, and they're going to talk about what separates this barrel from the others. That's their job probably as they deal with hundreds and hundreds of barrels. But if you're Ohio Liquor picking these, whoever was on the pick team, this is not discerning notes. This says aroma, strong caramel squares scent on the nose. That doesn't tell me anything about this whiskey because, geez, the first thing that I smell on this whiskey, I am knocking shit over left and right. Good God. The first thing that I smell on this whiskey is yes, okay, there's big caramel notes. It also smells weirdly spearmint and weirdly farmy and out of character and black pepper. And the inside of a cardboard box, tasting notes, caramel creams and butterscotch move to a black pepper finish with lingering sweetness. No. So, I don't know who wrote those. No. Yeah, so anyways, it's fine. But no, I know what I've been on a few different Middle West picks now, and I know the kind of barrels that you get on those picks and the variety of the barrels. There's just no way this could have been the best barrel, I feel like, all right, let's move to the Rise because I'm kind of bummed out by that. I don't know who was on the pick. Yeah. All right, let's move to the Rise. So this is going to be the rye that, again, when I was there a year ago, I selected these two ryes as my favorite and nobody else wanted them. So I got the samples. This one, which we're not going to taste right now, was super proofy, but had this amazing vanilla note that I was like, I fell in love with this rye. Oh my God. Yeah. I loved it. Now here's the other one from that year, and I don't remember this rye. And again, they picked this barrel for Ohio a year and 4 months later. So let's taste the younger version of this barrel now. All right. Beef jerky a little bit. All right, I got to think about this. It's like a chocolate cocoa, like a cocoa powder, a beef jerky, like pear skins, green apple skins, and there's something else in there that I can't quite place. On the palate, it's blueberry. That's a very interesting barrel. Wow. That goes all over the place. I have goosebumps. That barrel is, I have absolute goosebumps all over my body. That is a very cool barrel. And I understand why I picked it now. That's an off-profile barrel. The other one that I had picked 2 years ago from them, that was more of like a down-the-middle, proofy, vanilla, you know, a very approachable but intense rye. This was the weird one. Now let's taste this a year and 4 months later. It's very smoothed out on the nose now. Oh my God, the level of sweetness in this. On the nose, like before I said beef jerky, I was saying these really kind of weird cocoa powder, dark but bitter, sweet, savory notes. This still has that cocoa powder thing. It tracks between the two. But it's darker. It's darker and much more rounded out. Oh. That is outstanding. So, of these, wow. The whiskey I recommend picking up, of the 4 barrels, I only have 2 to try now. Barrel 1723 of the dark pumpernickel rye at 123.4 proof. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is a fantastic whiskey. Wow. That, all the things I talked about, the savory beef jerky, the sweet cocoa powder, the blueberry note on the palate, everything has integrated after this year and 4 months, and it's like a complete package. Whereas before in the barrel, you could smell and taste the individual notes. They were very segmented. Yeah, and that I talked earlier in the stream about sweetness. You can get sucralose or aspartame or saccharin sweetness between different whiskeys. I find that on Middle West Spirits products, you can get a lot of saccharin sweetness, like toothpaste notes. Big saccharin note. That's the kind of sweetness you're talking about with the mintiness on the former version of this rye. But the current edition, which is now being bottled and sold, that's gone because the caramelized sugar notes and everything from the barrel have rounded out that kind of fake sweetener note. That is outstanding whiskey. So, look, I'll take this as a victory that a year and 4 months ago I was onto something with this barrel. I'll take it, you know. But with the bourbon, this barrel in particular, 0951, I think if you don't like Texas whiskey, if you don't like craft whiskey, Kings County in New York, 291 Journeyman, I don't think you'll like this barrel. Yeah, it's very barbecue sauce, you know, it's just barbecue forward. All right. The gum from Willy Wonka. That's hilarious. Yeah, Mark, I have to figure out who wrote these tasting notes. I'm going to have to ask those guys if it was them or if it was Ohio Liquor. If it was Ohio Liquor, I'm going to be upset. Anyways. All right, guys, that is going to do it tonight. We're almost 3 hours in, so yeah, hour over time. If anybody has any final thoughts, any final tastings you want, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to sign off, and I will see you hopefully on Sunday. I think Sunday would be a great stream night to get into the Overholt Cask Strength Rye. And I don't know what else, but we'll see. Maybe I can have Sarah put together a blind flight or something. I have a lot of Found North to taste. I have a lot of Johnny Walker to taste from William Molnar. So we'll see. All right, that's going to do it. Well, cheers, guys. And I'm going to wrap up with a final sip. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go back to the barrel that we picked from Middle West last year. Drew P., Brian, myself. A great barrel. Cheers, guys. That's going to do it. Thank you so much for the support, the super chats. I cannot tell you how helpful that is for the channel to acquire new whiskeys, to do reviews, to do live streams, and everything else. Yeah, so thank you, especially, you know, to those of you who really dropped some significant money in the super chats. That is incredible. So thank you guys so much. Cheers. Congrats to the winners tonight, Marshall and Toshi, and I will see you guys soon, hopefully on Sunday. Cheers. Have a great rest of your night and a great weekend until I see you soon. All right. Cheers, guys.